My daily life in a TV series. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 326. Doctors gathering in the emergency room. Wow, Adam, you really look like a doctor. When the new mother was holding her baby girl and following the nurse to get vaccinated, Joey pointed at Adam with both hands and winked. I am a doctor, Adam said speechlessly. It was just a word before, but now it has a picture. Joey laughed. What's wrong with you? She just gave birth to her daughter not long ago, and you hooked up with her? Adam complained. I didn't expect it, Joey explained. At first, I just saw that she was beautiful and had a good figure, so I went over to chat with her. Who would have thought that she was actually a single new mother? At that time, it was too late to back out. Is it too late to back out if you really want to? Adam looked at him with contempt. It's not that I don't want to quit this time, Joey said aggrievedly. The key is that she has blocked my retreat. I never thought that a new mother would be so powerful. It turns out that if you stay single for a long time, you can become successful. Adam felt offended for no reason and rolled his eyes. Have you figured out whether she is really single? Don't let the child's father in the Marine Corps suddenly show up and shoot you, isn't it? Joey was also shocked. She said she was single, but we just met tonight. Pray. Adam patted Joey's shoulder. Joey had a bitter face and became a little worried. It's not that there are no such things. On the contrary, there are many. Long-distance relationships are not reliable in the United States, not to mention Marines who are often out of contact when they are drifting abroad. When they are causing trouble abroad, there are usually problems at home. A playboy like Joey is the biggest hoe, or weeder, facing their family. Why are hearts and love so separated in the West and cannot be mentioned in the same breath? Because there are too many ONS. If the two are mentioned in the same breath, the divorce rate will explode, and even destroy the concept of family, causing social unrest. As long as I love you, but I can't control my hormones for a while and make a mistake that men and women will make, you should forgive me. When everyone accepts this statement, through marriage counseling, let the marriage psychologist say something like this kind of thing is too common. If you want to live a decent life, you have to have a little green on your head. The divorce rate can be suppressed within a controllable range, and people will still have confidence in the family. Don't be sad, I'll tell you a good news. Adam frightened for a while, and then he felt much better, and changed his tone. What good news? Joey looked at Adam in surprise. Barney is in the hospital here. Adam teased. Is it good news? Barney Stinson is in the hospital? Joey's eyes lit up. Why is he in the hospital? Is he sick? Which ward? Adam told the story. I'll go see it first. Joey couldn't help it, and ran over. Haha. Adam couldn't help laughing. The bet with Barney will last for 2 months, which is too long. Let Joey go over and mock him, just as if he is collecting interest. No wonder many big shots are so sharp-tongued. It turns out that being rude to others can really make you feel refreshed. Dr. Draclamore? Are you the Dr. Draclamore in Days of Our Lives? It's me. Joey was recognized before he even got to Barney's ward. There are still many people in the hospital who like to watch this American TV series. At the beginning, there was a beautiful woman who was extremely obsessed with the doctor role played by Joey and ran over to pursue Joey. Joey originally refused, but when he saw how beautiful she was, he thought she was deliberately playing a role, and thought that he would not lose anything anyway, so he went with the flow. Who knew that the other party had mental problems, and almost scared Joey to death. He never dared to use the doctor's identity in the play to pick up girls again. Now in the hospital, being recognized by people made Joey's vanity explode. He pursed his lips and imitated the style of Dr. Draclamore in the play, responding to everyone's greetings one by one. Adam, lend me a white coat. Joey, who was in high spirits, didn't care about watching Barney's jokes. He decided to restore his identity as Dr. Draclamore first and shake it up. No. Adam shook his head and refused. He didn't want to accompany Joey to go crazy. It's not about whether Joey's acting is good or not, but his enthusiasm for studying acting is better than that of the imitator and, and only slightly worse than the king of comedy. Adam has no doubt that once Joey gets too excited, he will most likely stay in the hospital for a few days to have fun. In the original Time and Space, Chandler kindly helped Joey find a job in the company, but Joey got too excited about acting and added a lot of scenes to himself, which almost made Chandler unable to live. Adam would never do such a thing. Moreover, this is a hospital. If Joey overacts and something goes wrong, it will be a big trouble. It's a bummer. Seeing Adam's firm attitude, Joey had to give up the idea unhappily and ran to Barney's ward to mock him crazily. "Adam, thank you." He ran into Liz and saw her thanking Adam excitedly. The nerves were saved? Adam was surprised. "Yes." Liz nodded vigorously. "I rushed to the operating room and stopped Dr. Victor. I said that Dr. Bailey taught us to try our best to meet the needs of patients, and the needs of patients are to preserve heart function." "Did Dr. Victor listen?" Adam looked at her strangely. An intern dared to confront the attending doctor in person, even if she was not an intern under Dr. Victor. This courage was too big. "Since you're so reckless and fierce, why did you ask me to take the lead before?" "He asked Dr. Bailey to kick me out, but Dr. Bailey said she couldn't do it because we kids are too difficult to deal with now," Liz said happily. "You know he will complain to the chief surgeon, right?" Adam couldn't help reminding. "I know," Liz smiled and said, "but I don't care. What we did is right." "You can do it," Adam complained. "Whenever this patient has any idea in the future, you will definitely come to his mind." Liz smiled brightly. Not only did she not feel offended, but she was very happy. Adam was speechless. "By the way, I'm going to hold a party at home tomorrow night. It's just a gathering of doctors. Will you come?" Liz invited. "Doctor's party?" Adam thought about it and nodded. "If nothing unexpected happens, I will go." "What is a connection?" "This is the connection. Modern medicine has never been a personal heroism of fighting alone and fighting thousands of troops. No matter how powerful a person is, he cannot be proficient in all branches of medicine. When encountering difficult and complicated diseases, he must consult with multiple departments and work together. At this time, every department has its own people, and the efficiency is definitely much faster than just following the rules and procedures. And efficiency is life. Then it's settled." Liz was overjoyed. Chapter 327 Physical version. You broke my heart the next day. It was 4:30 in the morning. The hospital was bustling again during the working hours. Observing the operating room, Dr. Burke was performing a coronary artery bypass graft operation, and the intern who had the honor to follow him was, as expected, Meredith. Adam and others sat in the observation seats, chatting while watching the real-time operation. "I heard that you will go too," Christina said casually. "You're not going?" Adam was a little surprised. "I wanted to go originally, because Liz said it was just a gathering of us, and we could see her boyfriend by the way," Christina complained. "But now I heard that she not only invited the surgery, trauma, and plastic surgery departments, but also invited those little brats in the pediatric department and those idiots in the psychiatric department. I lost all my mood to participate. This party must be terrible." "It passed." Adam glanced at her. "What do you mean it passed?" Christina said nonchalantly. "Aren't those who study pediatrics and psychiatry little brats and idiots? Who would study that? When you choose a specialty after the internship, will you choose pediatrics and psychiatry?" Adam was speechless. The hardship of pediatricians is obvious. In the ranking of U.S. doctor income, they are always ranked last or second last. In a country where money is supreme, you can imagine where pediatricians are in the contempt chain. Doug Ross, the pediatrician who diagnosed Joey's new girlfriend's daughter yesterday, looks elegant, but he was dumped by Nurse Carol. Of course, the real reason is that Dr. Ross is too romantic. But when Dr. Ross said it, it became a self-deprecating "do you know which doctor has the lowest income? You made the right choice by choosing your current boyfriend who is a football player." The only people who can be compared with pediatricians are family doctors. In fact, this is not bad. After all, it is still a high salary, far higher than the average income. In the previous life in the East Country, Adam's brother-in-law was also a pediatrician, and that was really hard, low salary, tiring work. This is really low and tiring. Adam's brother-in-law's annual income is a little more than $100,000, which seems to be a lot. But that is in Shenzhen. The average annual salary is 110,000 or 120,000. A doctor who has studied for 5 years for undergraduate, 3 years for master's and 3 years for regular training, and a high-end doctor is actually dragging his feet. Can you imagine? As for why it is so low, in fact, it is very simple. The basic salary is about the same. The income depends more on the department bonus. The department bonus comes from the income generated by the department. The dosage used by a child is a fraction of that of an adult. How to generate income? At the beginning, Adam's brother-in-law's bonus was not as good as Adam's sister, who was a nurse. He only caught up after completing the regular training, otherwise the family status would be worrying. Not only is the income low, but the key is also very tiring. It is normal to see 100 patients a day on average. Children have weak immunity and are prone to illness when they get together. The start of the school season and the flu season are nightmares for pediatricians because they are the peak seasons for pediatric visits. When a child sees a doctor, the whole family usually goes out. Young parents are okay, but the attitude of the older generation of grandparents is not good, and it is common for them to not cooperate. There is no difference between a pediatric outpatient clinic and a noisy vegetable market. Crying, scolding, shouting and other noises can make people's heads hurt. The reason why Adam's brother-in-law chose pediatrics was because his grades were average and the employment pressure was high. In order to find a job, he chose pediatrics with little competition. Now I regret it and have been wanting to change my job. When Adam traveled through time, there was a strange incident in the hospital where all the pediatric medical staff applied for transfer. If they had no other choice and were forced to do it, how could they dare to do it after studying for so many years? I heard that the monthly performance of that hospital, the pediatric 1.0 coefficient is 498 yuan, while the administrative logistics 1.0 coefficient is 2,600 yuan. A full 5 times difference. This is pediatrics. Psychiatry is high income. But if you look at Leonard's mother Beverly, you will know why Christina said that psychiatrists are mentally retarded. Psychiatrists who can get into the hearts of mental patients usually have hidden mental problems. For example, the psychiatrist who treated the Joker ended up becoming Harley Quinn. If you ask me, why do you want to have this party? Christina complained crazily. We don't have many days off. If we have this time, why don't we toss and turn with our boyfriends in bed all day? What's the point of having a party? You say, is Liz's boyfriend not okay? You can ask Liz about this question. Adam felt that his venomous tongue level needed to be improved. Look at Christina. She has already ridiculed everyone she can, but what she said makes sense. But if it's not this reason, it's probably because Liz wants to break up. Adam analyzed. Break up? George couldn't help but interrupt after hearing this. No way. Are you saying that Liz doesn't want to take the initiative to break up and wants her boyfriends to give up? Christina understood what Adam meant. What else? Adam shrugged and said, as you said, we are busy like spinning tops. Why don't we use the little time we have to rest to release hormones like crazy and hold an introduction party? Isn't Liz attracted to you? Christina looked at Adam suspiciously. So she wants to break up so that she can be in your arms? Don't be kidding. Adam shook his head and said, impossible. Christina smiled and said, but it's normal for Liz to want to break up. They are not in the same city. Liz is so busy every day. How can she have the time and energy to play Play-Doh with him? Without this moral constraint, she can do whatever she wants. How great. But if it were me, I would break up directly and save him from coming over. We have been working together for a while. Haven't you figured out Liz's character? Adam glanced at her sideways. Let her take the initiative to break up and hurt others? Christina was speechless. The Virgin Mary Liz has always cared for the world. How could she take the initiative to hurt others? Hey, that's not right. Adam's eyes condensed. What's wrong? Christina asked. Adam's heart was filled with huge waves. In the operating room, Meredith was holding up the heart. He saw Meredith doze off and pinched the patient's heart with his fingers. It was nothing. The heart muscle was very strong, and pinching it once or twice would not be a problem. But he was sharp-eyed and saw that Meredith's gloves were pierced by her fingernails. Adam stared at the operation below and saw Dr. Burke put the heart back. warmed it up and removed the shunt, preparing to make the heart beat again. But the heart did not beat as expected, and everyone became nervous. Is it a transplant organ? It hasn't been sutured yet. What's the temperature? 96. Still rising. She has to get through this by herself. She's dying. Adam couldn't bear it anymore, pressed the intercom, and reminded, Dr. Burke, check if the heart is punctured. I noticed that Dr. Gray's gloves were pierced by her fingernails. As soon as these words came out, everyone looked at Meredith. Chapter 328. What did your goddess do? Observing the operating room. As soon as Adam reminded, everyone looked at Meredith's finger. Meredith was immediately panicked. Dr. Gray, find the place you just touched. Dr. Burke rubbed the heart with his fingers, trying to restore the heartbeat, and ordered in a deep voice, defibrillator ready. The index has dropped to 90. Dr. Burke's calmness infected the other people in the operating room, and they all withdrew their eyes and went their own way. Charge 10 joules. Dr. Burke took the heart-specific defibrillator and pointed it at the heart. Clear. There was still a straight line on the instrument. 20 joules. Dr. Burke ordered. Clear. Okay. The heartbeat has recovered. The nurse reminded. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Dr. Gray, Dr. Burke shouted, where is the location? Here. Meredith racked her brains to recall, and then pointed out a location in horror. The myocardium is very strong. You can't just poke it with your fingernail. Dr. Burke comforted him and began to examine. Then he shouted, damn it, how could there be such a big crack? Wow. When this incident happened, the interns watching were in an uproar. Oh no. George was very anxious. Who would have thought that Meredith really punctured the patient's heart? The myocardium is too thin. Adam quickly analyzed. A small wound caused a big crack. If you hadn't reminded me in advance, once the suture was sutured, she would probably have to go to the operating room again. Christina sighed. Meredith should thank you very much. Otherwise she will be held responsible for the accident and her license will be revoked. Do you know the medical history of this patient? Adam asked. I know. Christina was always prepared and memorized the medical history of patients who needed major surgery. You said she was originally 300 pounds, and she quickly lost weight to 200 pounds? Adam immediately grasped the key point. This kind of rapid weight loss method must have used a very harsh diet. When the fat is quickly reduced, the myocardium is also quickly reduced, causing the myocardium to be too thin, and it will be broken by Meredith's poke, and the crack will expand once it is broken. It's true. Christina was shocked. Facing such a sharp Adam, she couldn't help but feel powerless. Dr. Burke. Adam pressed the intercom and repeated his guess. Accurate diagnosis. While performing the operation, Dr. Burke praised. Well done, Dr. Duncan. Knowing the problem, Dr. Burke's superb surgery quickly solved it. Dr. Gray, you have to thank Dr. Duncan. Dr. Burke glanced at Meredith. I know. Meredith felt relieved and quickly agreed. Okay, start suturing, Dr. Burke ordered. In the observation seat, everyone looked at Adam strangely, and then left one after another. Not everyone has the level of self-confidence and competitiveness that Christina has. Faced with Adam's amazing performance, Christina just felt powerless, and they completely excluded Adam from the ranks of interns. They don't allow such a powerful person to exist among their interns. Therefore, Adam is definitely not an intern, most likely a senior resident pretending to be a rookie. How abominable. You shouldn't say it. George's brain circuit is different, and he couldn't help complaining. At least you shouldn't say it in public. Just because you have a crush on Meredith, Adam sneered. No, George denied. Under normal circumstances, the myocardium cannot be so fragile. You point it out like this and it has a bad impact on Meredith. Even though it's okay now, there will be a lot of internal punishment in the future. In George's opinion, if Adam didn't say it, no one would know. It is normal for patients to have weak myocardium and accidental rupture. If no one mentions this, can we just do an operation to repair it? But now that it's said, Meredith's mistake has been nailed there. Normal situation? Is it normal now? Adam sneered. If I hadn't said it just now, once they had problems after suturing, they would have to operate again. Could a patient bear this kind of ordeal? The most important thing is, why should the patient bear this ordeal? Just because you like Meredith. I think Adam did the right thing, Christina said. As doctors, we should be responsible for our patients and do our best. Meredith's nails should have been trimmed in advance, and she shouldn't have taken a nap. Such low-level mistakes shouldn't have been made. Too busy lately. George tried his best to find excuses for Meredith. The work intensity is too high, and it is inevitable to make mistakes. If she is not energetic, she shouldn't have competed for this operation. Adam retorted, I believe that whether it is Christina, you or Liz, you will not make such a low-level mistake, right? I definitely won't, Christina said confidently. She was energetic even when there was no operation, not to mention that she had an operation, and it was a coronary artery bypass surgery. She was very unhappy about Meredith's privilege of priority in various advanced operations. Not to mention Dr. Sheff's neurosurgery. Almost all of them were performed by Meredith. Now, even Dr. Burke gave priority to Meredith. If she said that there was no relationship with the chief surgeon Richard, she would never believe it. George was speechless. That was the truth. How could he not know it? But Meredith was his goddess. You live together. What is she busy with at night? She is so busy that she doesn't even have enough sleep time? Adam saw George's thoughts and pointed out the key point. There are 14 hours a day, and there are 10 hours left. In theory, as long as you don't focus, you can still have enough sleep time. George's face darkened and he was in no mood to talk. What else can he be busy with? Discussing the working principle of advanced nerves with the attending Dr. Shept late at night. Adam got up and left the observation seat. If the situation was not critical, he would not embarrass his colleagues in public. The system's plus 0.001 reminder also proved that he did the right thing, so he did not regret doing so. Adam looked down on Meredith's obvious behavior of relying on the luck of the protagonist. Imagine, if she didn't rely on her luck of the protagonist. The big boss and the big boss were both her connections, and her subconscious mind was too casual. How could she make such a low-level mistake? A surgeon with long nails that can pierce gloves? Do you think you are Mr. Lafayette? Can you take a nap while holding a heart? How careless is that? You know, this is the first time Meredith has held a heart in her hands. For any surgeon, the first time holding a heart in their hands is extremely exciting. Taking a nap at this time? Adam can't think of any other reason except that she is too relaxed subconsciously and lacks the awe that a doctor should have. P.S. Thank you Mr. YY for the reward of 810. Chapter 329. One thought makes you a Buddha, one thought makes you a devil. Noon, restaurant. Adam and others were having lunch. Meredith came over with a plate of food, sat directly opposite Adam, and stared at him intently. Christina and others immediately went into the state of watching and eating melons, their eyes full of gossip. Adam did not follow Sheldon's bad habit of using a fork to pick up the food without eating it, and ate it as usual. Bianca frowned at Meredith, as if ready to fight back at any time. Thank you. To Christina's great disappointment, Meredith looked at Adam for a while, and suddenly thanked him sincerely. You're welcome. Adam looked up at her. If you hadn't pointed out the problem on the spot, the consequences would have been. Meredith said sincerely, I've been thinking about it for the whole morning, especially when I was facing the family members. The fear was even stronger. I think if it really happened, I wouldn't be able to help but confess my mistakes in front of the family members. In short, you saved me. Thank you so much. The first lesson of the on-the-job training is to never admit your mistakes in front of patients and their families. Christina couldn't help but remind her, even if Adam didn't remind you, you can't do this. This is common sense. Have you forgotten it again? Confessing at the time of the incident is far more useful than confessing impulsively and out of guilt afterwards. Adam said calmly, paying attention to common sense and details at ordinary times is far more useful than confessing at the time of the incident. This is her. If it were anyone else, most people would not do this. A person has worked hard for 8 years and has a student loan of 200,000 or 300,000 to get to this point. One step forward, he is a high-ranking doctor. One step back, he may end up on the street. Confessing one's mistakes in front of the family members afterwards is most likely to be directly fired or even have his license revoked. Unable to use the professional skills he has acquired over the years to make a living, and burdened with such a high student loan, he will definitely not be able to pay it back. When the time comes, he will most likely end up on the streets and become a homeless person at the bottom of society. He lives on the food provided by charity food shelters every day. During the holidays, he can visit more food shelters. Most of the good things donated by charity are collected by the volunteers themselves and taken home. After all, they are also starving to death. But those junk food can be eaten until they are full, which can be considered a holiday. If you are lucky enough to meet a weirdo like Barney, he may even buy you a lap dance and send you to heaven. But that's it. Is there any comparison with a promising doctor? Between the two, would anyone choose the latter? Adam asked himself that if this happened to him, he would not admit it either. This is the weakness of human nature. But does this mean that Meredith is more noble than them? Of course not. It only shows that Meredith's sense of being the protagonist is still strong. She did not accept the extreme fear of serious consequences, and subconsciously still felt that she would be fine. So she dared to say that she would confess her mistakes, even in front of the patient's family. Who dares to do this? This kind of thinking is much more terrible than simple human weakness. Everyone knows the weaknesses of human nature, and has formed various rules and regulations to restrain them. The harm is actually not great, but this kind of protagonist consciousness is subconscious, and the parties don't know it at all. Once they get reckless, it will really hurt others and themselves. But they know their mistakes and correct them, and they are brave to take responsibility, looking like a very human aura. There is a great fear between life and death. As a doctor, it is more appropriate to have fear and awe than to be fearless. Meredith is already very good. The sissy little licking dog George couldn't help but start to speak for the goddess again. Every doctor makes mistakes. Even a strong doctor like Dr. Burke left a towel in the patient's lungs, and it was not discovered until today. How did you know? Christina's eyes shrank. Don't you know? George said. I am Mrs. Drake's attending physician. She had surgery in our hospital 5 years ago and has been feeling chest tightness since the surgery. But she smoked 4 packs of cigarettes the day before, so it's normal for her lungs to have shadows. Even though she had quit long ago, no one took her seriously. It wasn't until today when the director found a towel in her lungs that we knew there was something wrong with the surgery, and Dr. Burke was the surgeon at the time. What I'm asking is, how do you know it was Dr. Burke? Christina asked nervously. Adam couldn't help but glance at her. Christina avoided him with a guilty conscience. It was she who went to check the files of that year. She was going to find Dr. Burke to give him some information first, because they had been a little ambiguous recently. That's right, the old nurse who had pancreatic cancer last time did not choose to have surgery, but died naturally. When she was dying, Christina suddenly had an emotional outburst. She insisted on rescuing the old nurse, regardless of the fact that the old nurse had signed a DNR, do not resuscitate agreement, and was dragged away by Dr. Burke. In the stairwell, Dr. Burke comforted her. The two looked at each other closely, smelled each other's breath, and suddenly became ambiguous. This morning, Dr. Burke also brought her a cup of latte, which was self-evident. Christina was happy to see this happen. On the one hand, she had little resistance to technical authority, especially in the heart. Dr. Burke was tall and a little dark, but he had a refined temperament and a unique charm. For her, who wanted to live in the hospital 24 hours a day, having such a colleague to release hormones at any time was simply a benefit. On the other hand, Meredith's various privileges stimulated her. Since Meredith chose Shept, the attending physician of neurosurgery, then she would choose Burke, the attending physician of cardiothoracic surgery. After all, after the internship, when she was undergoing specialist residency training, her goal was cardiothoracic surgery. If the two became good friends who helped each other, then in the future, if there was such a coronary artery bypass surgery, it would definitely not be Meredith who went into the operating room, but her. So she planned to notify Dr. Burke first. But when she saw Dr. Burke confidently telling her that nothing could stump him, she suddenly backed off. Once Dr. Burke chose to keep the file, she would be an accomplice. For this ambiguous relationship that has not yet been finalized, the rational Christina certainly did not want to take such a big risk. So she said nothing, but just followed Dr. Bailey's request, took out the file, handed it to Dr. Bailey, and then shut up. Later, she saw Dr. Bailey hand the file to Dr. Burke. This made her feel mixed. It turned out that Dr. Bailey was the same. If she had known this, she might as well let her do this favor. But now, George said that Dr. Burke was the patient's chief surgeon back then, which made Christina a little scared. Is there a backup file in addition to the original paper file? Fortunately, she did not help cover it up. Chapter 330, Forced Blessings 566. He. Adam couldn't help laughing. What are you laughing at? Christina said dissatisfiedly. Do I need to ask this question? Adam complained. Doctors may perform countless operations every year and forget about them, but for patients, they are unique. Can they not remember who performed the operation on them? Christina's face froze. As rational and smart as she is, she didn't even think of this. It's because the authorities are confused. It must be. No. George shook his head and said, Mrs. Drake hasn't woken up yet. It was Dr. Burke who took the initiative to say it. What? Christina and Meredith shouted in unison. What did he say? Adam asked curiously. He said that when he finished the operation, he felt uneasy. It seemed that he didn't check carefully and sutured the patient's lung cavity. George said, the patient looked fine after the operation. He was in a hurry at the time, so he let it go until today when the chief of surgery and Dr. Bailey took out a towel from the patient's body. As for why he didn't report it in time, because of fear. Adam sighed. Yes. George nodded. He had just become the attending physician and was not as famous as he is now. If such a low-level mistake occurred, he would be very passive in court. The hospital's legal advisor was afraid of taking responsibility and would most likely propose to fire him directly to save money and worry. Attending physicians and hospitals are mostly in a cooperative model. Once the income and expenditure are not equal, the hospital will definitely make the most favorable choice decisively. A new attending physician with no reputation is really not worth mentioning compared to the reputation and property losses of the hospital. It is normal to be abandoned. So even if Burke was already an attending physician at the time, he was still not as stubborn as Grey's Anatomy to admit his mistakes in person. He would have fooled around if he could. As for now, Adam guessed. On the one hand, Dr. Burke thought of something that Christina didn't think of. That is, what Adam said. The patient knew who performed the operation on her, and destroying the file was useless. On the other hand, Dr. Burke is now a famous doctor and the top cardiothoracic surgeon of the medical center. Otherwise, he would not be the first candidate for the director of surgery. In this case, even if he said it, the probability that the hospital would make an effort to protect Dr. Burke is very high. Finally, the patient had a good temper, and Dr. Burke felt that as long as he apologized sincerely and gave more compensation, it would not be difficult to deal with it. In summary, Dr. Burke, who had a good idea in his heart, could admit his mistake so frankly. If any one of the conditions was not met, it might be a different situation. In fact, I particularly agree with what Dr. Burke said at the end. George sighed. He said that even the greatest doctors make mistakes. When we make mistakes, we should speak out without hesitation, instead of being afraid of being punished. Otherwise everyone will suffer. Everyone was silent. This really touched everyone's heart. Doctors are also human beings. How can they not make mistakes? If you speak out about your mistakes, as long as they are not intentional, you can be forgiven. This is the ideal state, but the reality is that once you make a mistake, it is very likely that years of hard work will be lost in one day. Meredith pierced the patient's heart, and Dr. Burke left the towel in the patient's body. This is not an isolated case. In many similar situations, doctors have feelings afterwards, but because the consequences are too cruel, they are asked to choose between themselves and the patient, and they will naturally always choose themselves. Reality does not leave them with an ideal middle option. Don't think so much. Adam interrupted the atmosphere of empathy, grief over the loss of one's wife and said with a smile, the hospital will definitely issue relevant regulations in the future. Everyone's work intensity will probably be greatly reduced in the future. For most people, It's a good thing. I don't want this kind of benefit. Christina learned that the trouble had nothing to do with her, and regained her composure. Hearing this, she complained, I think the current rhythm is very good. That's not up to you. Adam shook his head and said, we are now working 577 from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. The consecutive medical accidents of Meredith and Dr. Burke are all related to the high intensity of work. The hospital is likely to take compulsory measures, such as working less than 80 hours a week. At that time, even if you want to stay in the hospital, you can't. Less than 80 hours a week? Christina shouted. Based on 5 a.m. to 6 p.m., 13 hours a day. That means you can only work 6 days at most. I will definitely not abide by this rule. Adam, don't tell me you think this is a good thing? Of course I hate this too. Adam sighed, but if the hospital has mandatory rules, then I can only abide by them. Otherwise, if something goes wrong, even if it's not your fault, it's your fault. Once there is a medical dispute and it goes to court, you say that you are showing off your endurance and you are not tired at all after fighting for 3 days and 3 nights, so it's not your problem. But who will believe you? First of all, if you violate the mandatory rules of the hospital, you will be completely passive. I think it would be great if such mandatory rules could be enforced. George smiled and said, after all, we doctors are also human beings and we have to have our own lives. No pursuit at all. Christina immediately looked at him with contempt. Forget it. Don't think about it. Let's relax at the party. Meredith shook her head, as if she wanted to get rid of these troubles. Her punishment has not yet been issued, but according to the experience of her boyfriend, Dr. Shept, a 1-month hospital stay is inevitable. I don't know what kind of boyfriend Liz has. We friends should check her carefully. Everyone looked at each other. Did Liz visit you today? Christina asked. No. Meredith shook her head in confusion. What's wrong? Nothing. Christina picked up the plate and left. Adam also smiled and stood up, and left with Bianca. What happened? Meredith sensed that something was wrong and pulled George, who also wanted to leave. You should go find Liz. George looked like he couldn't say anything. But under the gaze of Goddess Meredith, he didn't last a few rounds before he was defeated and told everything. Liz. When Meredith heard that the small party that was originally a gathering of a few friends was now expanded by Liz to a large doctor party with dozens of doctors, she was a little crazy. She agreed to let Liz and George move in because of an impulse. But as soon as they moved in, she immediately regretted it. Often when she opened her eyes, Liz, wearing Hello Kitty, stood in front of her. Then Liz and George were like best friends, quarreling and making a lot of noise, which made her head ache. Now there is such a thing again. When she thought about so many people crowded in her house before the party even started, her head was about to explode. P.S. Thanks to in-book friend 201702514502624 for the reward. There should be more. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331 Doctor's Daily Life. Afternoon. The medical center seemed to be shrouded in a restless atmosphere. Great. 14 boxes. What kind? Well, let's have a little of each. Liz, in a white coat, was on the phone in the corridor, contacting the most important thing for tonight's doctor's party: wine. I want the kind produced by a local small winery, and remember to bring some nuts. Alex came over from behind Liz and said carelessly, I'm ordering office supplies. No one likes Alex, including Liz. So the scale of this doctor's party has expanded from a few people to dozens of people, and now it has expanded to hundreds of people, covering low-level interns and nurses from various departments, and even their boss, Dr. Not Holly Bailey, said he would go, but Liz still had no intention of inviting Alex. In fact, this kind of party is most taboo to have the boss present, because it will not be fun. But the news spread throughout the hospital, and the boss asked you, am I invited? Apart from a positive answer, do you dare to say no? Anyway, Liz and George don't have the courage. Oh, of course. Alex left after saying this. He was not as shameless as before. He was not a fool. Not long ago, he posted Liz's heartfelt photos all over the hospital. After being killed by Liz's heartfelt photos were no longer a joke, but he became a joke. So he cleverly began to keep a low profile. No more ambiguous evil smiles, no active provocations to anyone, and began to take the melancholy and mysterious route. As for the effect, just look at Liz and you will know. From a local small brewery, with some nuts, Liz said quickly to the phone. The extreme anger at the beginning was blown away by the wind. Emergency room, Dr. Duncan, will you go to the party tonight? Well, it depends on the situation. If there are no patients, I will go. Great, I want to go too. Count me in. At the nurses' station, the nurses were discussing enthusiastically, and their emotions were quite excited. Interns are tired as dogs. And nurses are not easy either. They are also under great pressure. To some extent, there are not many social circles and social activities after work. Hospitals all want to make money. In order to maximize input-output, 2 nurses are usually hired for the work of 1 nurse, so that nurses cannot stop working for a moment. Once an unexpected event occurs, the hospital will operate at a high intensity and high load. At that time, nurses have to try their best to barely hold on, but that kind of reluctance is the kind that nurses want to quit after working once. In such a working state, it is actually quite difficult to have a normal love life. There are very few male nurses among nurses, and there are relatively few female doctors among doctors. The opposite sex of the two are matched and complementary in number, and they often work together day and night. There are many romances, and friendship and mutual assistance are everywhere, especially in the world of American TV series and movies. Adam has encountered such scenes more than once. There are also often beautiful female nurses who hint at him, but of course he refuses them all. Now it seems that they have not given up, and think that the reason why they failed to capture him is entirely because they lack an important artifact: wine. Xu Renju said, "Wine is a matchmaker." People in no country understand this better than Westerners. Beep beep. At this time, the emergency rescue reminder of the nurse station rang. "Okay, Mary, push the ambulance." The head nurse gave the order and reminded, "Dr. Duncan, we received a distress signal. The ambulance had emergency rescue equipment such as a defibrillator. Notify Dr. Lewis." Adam reported according to the routine procedure, and then quickly followed the nurses to the ward where the distress alarm sounded. When everyone arrived and pushed open the door, they were stunned, but they saw Dr. Doug Ross, with his upper body naked, leaning against the washstand, one hand on the washstand, the other hand on the wall, and he happened to press the emergency button on the wall without knowing it. When he heard the door open, he turned his head and showed a distorted and embarrassed face. Hi. Faced with this extremely embarrassing scene, Adam pretended to greet Dr. Ross naturally, then closed the door, completely ignoring the pink ostrich figure on the ground. The head nurse was fine, but Mary, a young nurse in a pink nurse uniform, blushed. "There will be a party tonight, so why not have fun as you want?" The head nurse shook her head. "You are so impatient. Young people nowadays." "In the ward area, I heard you have a party tonight. Can we join?" The bedridden patients started to make a noise. "Sorry, we are not the organizers." Adam smiled and declined. "Besides, your condition requires rest, and you are not suitable to get out of bed." In order to maximize profits, American hospitals attach great importance to the rotation rate of hospital beds. Generally, if you are not seriously ill, you will not be admitted to the hospital. The cost of hospitalization is also set extremely high, and normal people dare not stay in the hospital for a long time. Anyone who is hospitalized still wants to go to the party? You are dreaming. Doctors also have spare time. Who would have thought? Yes, they are there before I close my eyes at night, and I am woken up by them before I open my eyes in the morning, as if they all live in the hospital. I really thought they were supermen. It's almost time. Can't you wait until you get off work to go to the party? Drink less at night. I have to have surgery tomorrow. The patients began to complain, and each one was happier than the other. Adam smiled. Doctors always look down on their patients. Literally, the patient is lying on the bed, and the doctor is standing, so he naturally looks down. The positions of the two also represent their relationship to some extent. The patient needs to look up at the doctor who brings him a diagnosis that affects his life or death, which puts the patient in a weak position psychologically. No one likes this kind of weakness. Now that we suddenly see the daily life of doctors, they are happy and noisy, which is actually normal. 7 o'clock in the evening. A group of doctors and nurses change into their daily clothes and left in groups, gathering towards Meredith's apartment. Adam was a little late, and he delayed the discharge procedures for a patient until 8 o'clock, so he drove Bianca there. "You are having a lot of fun." Before entering, I heard dynamic music coming from the apartment. I pushed the door open and saw that it was already very crowded inside, full of people. The most conspicuous thing was a table where a man and two women were pouring wine into their mouths and twisting their bodies while dancing. The one on the left was Meredith, the one on the right was Christina, and the one in the middle was George. A big dynamic word, Dr. Duncan, Dr. Duncan, Dr. Duncan. Adam's arrival instantly attracted the attention of a group of women, who greeted him one after another. Unlike the uniform white coats of doctors and pink uniforms of nurses during work hours, the women in their daily outfits were all gorgeous and vying for beauty. Chapter 332 Peggy calls Gray Apartments. During the party, the United States has a small circle culture, even if it is a big party with more than 100 people. Christina, Meredith, and George finished dancing on the table, and after coming down, they just gathered in a room with Bianca to drink and chat. The others are just tools to create an atmosphere. This is Meredith's home, and it is natural that she doesn't like this kind of big party. For this unnecessary atmosphere, after the party, she has to face a messy home, and who knows where to find garbage and indescribable things that give her a headache. What makes her hate the most is that Liz, the organizer of the party, is still trapped in the hospital, and the brain surgery they all want to do is, in addition to being punished. Meredith simply returned to his previous style, madly pouring wine into his mouth and screaming from time to time, "Aren't you jealous?" Christina looked at Bianca, who was playing with them with drunken eyes, and pouted towards Adam, who was surrounded by women. "Why should I be jealous?" Bianca drank a few sips of wine and became more outgoing than usual. "Adam and I are just good friends, not his girlfriend, and he is just an animal, and sometimes I wish he was like that." As soon as she said this, Christina and Meredith's eyes immediately radiated 8 million degrees of gossip heat. "What kind of animal is he? Tell me." "Nothing." Bianca was not drunk yet, and knew that Adam didn't like her to talk about her private affairs, so she quickly stopped the topic. "There must be something. We are all friends, and we are doctors, we have seen everything. What can't we talk about?" "That's right, Bianca. Don't you consider us friends?" How could Christina and the others let her go? "You said something after me, and each one said something more serious than the other, and they had to solve the gossip in their hearts. This opportunity is rare. If it were another man, if he was so powerful, he would definitely want everyone to know. But Adam was too low-key. He was obviously very powerful, but he didn't seem to want others to know how powerful he was. Mysterious and powerful are the most attractive to women. I can't really say it." Bianca couldn't handle it anymore, so she had to cover up and say, "Anyway, I can't handle it." OMG. Christina and Meredith were both experienced drivers, and they understood immediately, and exclaimed in ambiguous ways, "What's wrong?" George was a little confused after drinking, and looked at them in confusion. "It's just that he can't handle it, so OMG. I'm even considering moving out." Bianca took another sip of wine, and couldn't stop talking, complaining, "Otherwise, I'll have to work 14 hours a day, and then I'll have to work overtime again and again when I get home, and I'll feel like my body is falling apart. If any of them can flirt with Adam, I really don't care. Not everyone has Adam's stamina of showing off. Look at Meredith, who has been seriously lacking rest time since she hooked up with Dr. Shept. She even dozed off during the first exciting thing like holding a heart, and almost killed someone, and you can understand how Bianca feels. Bianca enjoys the feeling brought by Adam, but that's not everything in life. Studying medicine has been her dream since she was a child. Her father is a dentist, and many of her friends are doctors, which is why she was going back to Chicago for internship after graduating from medical school. Since she was a child, she has often heard her father being teased by his doctor friends. Dentists are not doctors, which was deeply imprinted in her heart. Therefore, she has always wanted to be a surgeon, standing at the top of the medical contempt chain, and giving her father face. Bianca could not accept the happiness that Adam brought her if it affected this dream. She is a human being, not a mouse that will press the control button until it dies after electrodes are inserted into the nerve control area of the brain that controls the heart. Incredible. Meredith's passionate eyes were instantly watery. Mr. Dreamy was also very powerful, but from her experience as an old driver, she could completely control it. For the other party's dignity as a man, she even used her superb acting skills to make him happy. She had experienced countless men before, but she had never met such a man. What a pity. If she was still before the age of 24 or 25, she would try it no matter what. But now she and Mr. Dream are in love, and judging from the reaction of Mr. Dream when the injured racer kissed her in the last death baby race, Mr. Dream is more jealous than expected and absolutely cannot accept this kind of open relationship. Bianca was also looking at them with drunken eyes. Her words were indeed from her heart, but she did not say Adam's words that he looked down on them. She thought to herself with a smile, even if I give you a chance, you won't stand a chance. Adam seemed to be calm in dealing with the female colleagues who seemed particularly enthusiastic after get-off work, but deep in his heart he was complaining crazily and made up his mind to attend fewer such parties in the future. It's really too tiring, in every sense. The principle of not having close contact with female colleagues in the hospital turned into a red line after Barney played him the first short video. That's right, Barney took the first step with a limp posture. And the video is proof. Barney lived in a separate VIP ward, and the conditions for committing the crime were met. With his eloquence, his romantic style of spending money, and his good looks, it was not difficult to deceive some pretty nurses with casual styles. The difficulty was that in order to convince Adam, Barney had to make the other party accept him as Mr. Stinson. Fortunately, Barney's lies came out of his mouth. Adam heard in the first short video that when the nurse saw his phone flashing in front of them, she asked him if he was filming with his phone on. He casually said that's because the phone was out of power. The party ended quickly. Everyone was at the bottom of the hospital's ecological chain and had to get up early to work tomorrow. Naturally, it was impossible for them to play all night like Ted Barney and others. The party started at 7 o'clock, and some people left one after another at 9 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, only Meredith and others who lived here were left, facing a room full of garbage. The next day, the daily life of the intern continued. When the joke of an intern in the emergency department falling asleep while squatting in the bathroom spread throughout the hospital, combined with Meredith's nap that punctured the patient's heart, and Dr. Burke's rush to leave the towel in the patient's body, these cases all revealed that doctors work too long. In order to avoid more medical accidents caused by being too sleepy and damage the hospital's reputation and money, the hospital board quickly passed a mandatory regulation. It was the FUBAL 566 model that Adam guessed that the maximum number of hours a week should not exceed 80. Then Adam and his team welcomed the first weekend off for interns. Just as he was about to take this time to get together with Chandler and others, he received a call. Peggy. Adam answered the phone in surprise. Chapter 333 Sheldon is destined to be alone. Of course, no problem, Adam agreed without hesitation after hearing Peggy's request. After hanging up the phone, Adam fell into deep thought. It has been almost 7 years since Adam last saw Peggy and Sheldon after they went to college. Although they are all friends, Peggy is not Sheldon, so even though Peggy is at Princeton University in New Jersey next door, Adam has never visited her, because that would remind Adam of Juno's smiling face every time. But Adam still has Peggy's address and phone number, and he has talked to her on the phone several times over the years, although most of the time he was complaining about Sheldon. Now, Peggy suddenly called him and asked him to come to her house and ask him for help. Although it was a bit strange, he certainly couldn't refuse. Peggy provides him with a lot of wisdom every year. On the other end of the phone, Peggy hung up the phone, showing a somewhat evil smile. and her experiences over the years emerged in her mind. 7 years ago, she, like Sheldon, went to Princeton University at the age of 11 and became the youngest college student. Afterwards, with her super genius IQ that surpassed Sheldon, she chose mathematics, the pearl of the scientific community, as her research direction. She successfully obtained a doctorate at the age of 14 and was specially hired as a researcher by Princeton University. Her mother has been with her since her divorce. Scientific research requires a lot of energy, not to mention that after she obtained her doctorate, she set her goal on the Millennium Mathematical Problem. In addition to discussing problems and colliding inspirations with Sheldon, who has a similar IQ and amazing mathematical talent, over the phone, she was almost focused. Her mother was only in her 40s, and she couldn't stand such a depressing life. As Peggy got older and older, she devoted more and more energy to mathematical research, and her mother's need for a second spring became more and more vigorous. Not long ago, her mother met a middle-aged man named David and fell in love with him. At the beginning, the reason why Peggy's parents divorced was because Peggy's mother paid too much attention to her daughter, Peggy, a genius girl, and was complained by Peggy's father as devoting all her attention to him, not a bit of it, so that the conflict was too big and finally divorced. That's why Peggy said that it was because of her that her family broke up, which made her want to degenerate into an ordinary girl. Peggy's mother later divorced and followed Peggy to Princeton to study with her for 7 years, which shows her love for Peggy. But now, after getting together with David, she almost let go of Peggy. The comparison between the two highlights the passion of this relationship. Peggy is not Sheldon. She not only has a genius IQ, but also a genius EQ. Although she is happy to see this, it is impossible for her to say that she is not a little disappointed in the big change of her mother who has always been with her. In addition, her research has recently fallen into a bottleneck period, and her mood is a little wrong. She only has 1.5 friends, and she began to harass Sheldon more and more frequently, and Sheldon was very impatient with this. "Why are you telling me this? I've read the book, and Missy has told me, so I know what it means. I have no interest in this kind of dirty communication of low-level human desires. Can't you think more about math problems with this time? No wonder you're stuck in a bottleneck. It turns out that you're dominated by this kind of low-level desires. I suggest you watch anime and play games." "What? You're not interested? Oh, boy. Girls are really troublesome. I thought only Missy was like this, but I didn't expect that you, whose IQ is close to mine, would be like this too." But that's right, there are not many outstanding female scientists in human history. Newton, Einstein, Planck, they are all men. And now I think I know why. If you really can't resist the call of your body's instincts, I suggest you go find Adam. Listening to what my brother George often complains about, Adam obviously has an unparalleled talent in this regard. Missy also often shows a very interested look. You are both girls, and the feeling should be similar. And Adam is in New York next to New Jersey, very close to you. You can go to him directly, which is far more useful than harassing me over and over again on the phone. I am not sure. How many times do I have to say that I am sure? Next time, if there is no academic question, and it is always this kind of question that I am not interested in, then I will not answer your call again. Last time, a guy dared to debate with me about the bug of the Flash. He was just like you, too focused on this kind of low-level desire, and didn't even understand the most basic plot. If he was like me, and spent more time reading comics, how could such an embarrassing thing happen? Today is comic day, and the new issue of The Flash is out. I'm going to buy it and enjoy it. That's it. Then, Sheldon hung up the phone directly. Listening to the beeping sound coming from the phone, Peggy was so angry that her teeth itched. Girls mature earlier than boys, not to mention a super genius girl like her. Sheldon is a handsome boy of the same age and IQ as her. As early as a few years ago, she had discussed this topic with him intentionally or unintentionally. But Sheldon is a giant baby, he has no interest in this at all, and he completely regards Peggy's girlish thoughts as harassment. Over the years, Sheldon hated this kind of harassment. If he couldn't find a friend with the same age and IQ as him, he would have blacklisted Peggy long ago. In his opinion, science and trains are his favorites. His mother and grandmother are his support, and comics and games and other home culture are his leisure. With these, what else do you need? After several years of trial and error, Peggy also discovered that Sheldon seemed to be asexual. Otherwise he shouldn't be like this even if he was slow to develop. In fact, if she knew Sheldon's future, she would understand everything. In the original time and space, Sheldon became a boyfriend and girlfriend with Amy when he was about 28 years old. Amy, who was unsatisfied, used all kinds of tricks. It took Amy 5 or 6 years to grind Sheldon to no avail and agreed to give his body as Amy's birthday gift. But even if they got married, the annual soak in their married life became a joke among everyone. If it wasn't really uninterested, how could it be like this? Penny always asked Sheldon what his sexual orientation was. Is he a woman, a man, or something else weird? When Sheldon said seriously that he would give himself to Amy for her birthday, everyone was shocked, as if they had seen God. His mother, who loved him the most and understood him the best, said when he got married that she had never expected such a day would come. She thought her Shelley would be lonely for the rest of her life. That expression was not a joke at all. She really thought so. This is how Sheldon is when he grew up. Not to mention the childish Sheldon now. He was really tired of Peggy's harassment, and Peggy finally gave up and thought of that half-friend. P.S. Thanks to Amanonly12 and Tiamo for the tips. There should be more. Chapter 334, Acquaintance Downstairs. 1998. August 23, Sunday. End of heat. Suitable for renovation, opening, construction, groundbreaking, bed installation, trading, opening, and groundbreaking. Adam drove to Princeton University. Peggy was a famous young genius mathematician. Princeton University provided an independent apartment, located on the campus of Princeton University, to facilitate the study and life of young genius mathematicians. Downstairs of the apartment. Adam, why are you here? Are you here to see me? As soon as he got off the car, an excited figure rushed towards him. Leonard. Adam was stunned. Why are you here? Leonard blushed and changed the subject. Aren't you here to see me? No. Adam apologized. You know I'm very busy at work. I finally got a break today. A friend asked me to come over and said he needed my help with something. Otherwise I wouldn't have the time to come here. Besides me, you have other friends in Princeton? Leonard said in surprise. Who? Why didn't you introduce her to me before? We are high school friends. Adam smiled. She was too young before, and her mother has been accompanying her to study here, so I seldom contacted her, so I didn't say anything. She is very young and her mother is accompanying her to study. Hearing this, Leonard picked up the asthma spray and sprayed it into his mouth a few times. Only then did he barely suppress the shortness of breath caused by his rapidly beating heartbeat, and said in shock, "Could your friend be Dr. Peggy Adler?" "You know Peggy too?" Adam nodded and smiled. "Yes, a genius girl like her is very famous even in Princeton. It's not surprising that you know her. She is a genius beauty." Leonard took a deep breath and added excitedly, "There has never been such a beautiful and talented female scientist in the history of science. The only one who can barely be compared with her is Dr. Elizabeth Plimpton from the School of Physics. But Dr. Plimpton is 6 years older than Dr. Adler, and she got her doctorate 8 years later. Her appearance is also much worse than Dr. Adler, who is recognized as the most beautiful woman in the scientific community." When talking about this, Leonard's eyes lit up and he talked endlessly. Even Asma couldn't stop him. Adam looked at him with a strange look. "What's wrong?" Leonard kept talking for a long time, and finally reacted and smiled. "This is downstairs of Peggy's apartment," Adam said playfully. "Don't tell me, you live here too, or just passed by?" Leonard's face turned red and he couldn't speak. "Haha." Adam couldn't help laughing. "You don't know until you see it. The world is really wonderful. In this life, Sheldon and Leonard's indirect connection is not only Adam, but now there is also Peggy. What's more interesting is that Peggy likes Sheldon, and Leonard has a crush on Peggy. Oh, and there's also Dr. Elizabeth Plimpton. If Adam remembers correctly, she should be the ying-dang female scientist." Leonard and her had a night of pleasure, and a morning, and almost Howard the delivery man and the landlord Rajesh. "Let's talk later. I'm going upstairs first." Adam patted Leonard's shoulder, said, and prepared to go upstairs. "Can you take me with you?" Leonard asked expectantly. "I've always wanted to meet Dr. Adler." Adam was startled and shook his head. "I don't know if it's convenient." Seeing Leonard looking at him pitifully, Adam smiled helplessly and said, "I'll go upstairs and talk to Peggy first. If it's convenient, we're all friends, and it's only right for us to get to know each other." "Great." Leonard almost jumped up, but fortunately his poor athletic ability stopped him. "I'll wait for your good news downstairs." "Okay." Adam agreed and walked towards the apartment. "I'll wait for you downstairs." Leonard's reminder came from behind again. "Got it." Adam didn't even look back and waved back. "I'll wait for you." Before Adam walked into the elevator, Leonard's voice came, suppressing his excitement and reminding him again and again. This time, Adam didn't bother to respond. Without looking back, Leonard's hands were automatically placed in front of him. The action of his left hand pinching his right hand, and the grinning face appeared in his mind. Ding dong. Room on the 3rd floor. Adam rang the doorbell. A light sound of footsteps in the room came into Adam's ears. Listening to the approaching footsteps, Adam's heartbeat suddenly accelerated for some reason. Peggy was really beautiful and cute when she was a child, and at the same time she had a unique temperament. After 7 years of not seeing each other, what has Peggy become now? Don't become Captain Marvel. Don't become Captain Marvel. Don't become Captain Marvel. Important things are said 3 times, but looking at Leonard's posture of a perverted illegitimate fan, and the title of the most beautiful genius beautiful girl scientist in the history of science, Peggy should not have grown ugly. Maybe he will be even better? She suddenly asked him to come over. What did she want him to do for her? If he had known earlier, he should have called Sheldon to ask. The reason why he and Peggy had any intersection was entirely because of Sheldon. In the past 7 years, several phone calls were also because of Sheldon. He also always knew that Sheldon was the only friend Peggy recognized. The system points would not lie. Although Peggy had been providing him with wisdom points, she did not provide him with strength points. This was the most direct and official evidence of his insufficient friendship. If he had to say, he could only barely qualify as a friend. If he really counted it, he could only be considered half a friend at most. Peggy's indifference from the bottom of her soul at the time left a deep impression on Adam. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but take stock of the system panel that he almost forgot, focusing on the wisdom points. Wisdom, 177.75, normal 100, 120 excellent, 140 genius, 180 super genius, initial value 108. Juno's contribution, +1 + 0.005 times 365 times 4 + 0.004 times 365 times 4 + 0.003 times 365 times 3 = 17.425. Sheldon's contribution, +5 + 0.005 times 365 times 4 + 0.004 times 365 times 4 + 0.003 times 365 times 3 = 21.425. Peggy's contribution, +6 + 0.005 times 365 times 2 + 0.004 times 365 times 4 + 0.003 times 365 times 3 = 18.775. Leonard's contribution, +3 + 0.004 times 365 times 4 + 0.003 times 365 times 3 = 12.125. Strength, 440, normal 100, 200 strong, 500 super strong, 1000 not human. Endurance, 560, normal 100, 200 excellent, 500 is just show, 1000 is not human. Speed, 180, normal 100, 200 excellent, 500 is just show, 1000 is not human. The wisdom points provided by Juno and others are gradually reduced every 4 years. Now it is less than 3 points away from the 180 of super genius. At this moment, Adam couldn't help but blame Christina. Judging from her double doctoral degrees at such a young age, She is definitely a genius who is no worse than Leonard. If she treated him as a friend and provided more than 3 wisdom points, Adam would probably have been promoted to a super genius at this moment, on the same level as Sheldon and Peggy. Creak. Just as countless thoughts flashed through Adam's mind, the door opened, revealing a face that made people's heart beat faster. "It's not Aunt Marvel," Adam shouted in his heart. "She hasn't grown ugly at all." "You're here." Peggy raised the corners of her mouth, and her smile was extremely evil. Chapter 335 Aggressive. "Hi, Peggy, long time no see." Although Adam was amazed that Peggy not only did not grow ugly after growing up, but became more beautiful, he was no longer the high school student he used to be. He calmed down in an instant and greeted her with a smile. "It's been a long time since we last met. Come in." Peggy made way for her tall and well-proportioned body. Adam walked in and saw a writing board, the same one Sheldon had, which was filled with complex mathematical formulas. On the desk by the window, there was a thick stack of calculation papers, which were still filled with writing. A beautiful girl suddenly appeared in his mind, writing furiously under the light. "Where's your mother?" Adam asked casually while looking around the apartment. "Why?" Peggy said with a smile. "As soon as you came in, you asked about my mother. Do you have any feelings for her?" "Haha." Adam laughed and said, "Peggy, you are much more humorous and cheerful than when you were a child. If you don't have feelings for my mother, then you have feelings for me?" Peggy looked directly at Adam, and the brilliance in her eyes made Adam's heartbeat stagnate. "No way." Adam suddenly had a bold idea, but the habit of thinking of Juno's smiling face in his mind at the same time as thinking of Peggy over the years made him suppress this idea at the first time. "Ahem, stop joking, we are all friends." "Then you are in New York next door. Why haven't I seen you come to visit me, your friend, in the past 7 years?" Peggy seemed a little aggressive. "Sheldon is still your best friend. Has he ever come to see you?" Adam laughed and fought back. Peggy's momentum stagnated immediately. Although she has a high emotional intelligence, she can't suppress the pride that goes deep into her soul. There is only 1.5 people who can catch her eye. Most of Adam's half is for Sheldon's sake, and Adam's hard work and chicken soup made her give up her stupid behavior at the time. Yes, now she is very ashamed to look back on what happened back then. I really can't imagine why she was so fragile back then. What is marriage? It's just living together. Divorce, what's the big deal? How can it be more interesting to be entangled in love than to explore the deepest mysteries of the universe? If it wasn't for Adam, she would probably sink for many years before she understood this truth. At that time, although she was still confident that she could start over with her IQ, but Adam saved her many years after all, and this time allowed her to unveil more of the universe and achieve greater success. Therefore, even though Adam's IQ did not meet her recognition, he still became her friend. Of course, he was not as smart as Sheldon, so he was only half a friend. But half a friend was enough to enter the family. "You have changed." Peggy looked at Adam with interest. "You were not so confident before." In her impression, Adam tried his best to perform in front of her, but he was very clumsy and was often forced back by her words or eyes. He was not as free as he is now, and he could fight back against her at the first time. "People will always change." Adam smiled. In the past, his rubbish system could not help him at all, and he was surrounded by a group of terrible people who crushed him in IQ, ruthlessness, decisiveness, etc. It would be strange if he could be confident. In addition, at that time, he coveted the wisdom points brought by her friendship. If you need help from someone, you must be polite to them. Now that he has no desire for her, it is naturally different from before. "Tell me, why have you become so confident?" Peggy looked at him with a smile. "Did you become a billionaire by writing books, or did you become a doctor who decides the life and death of others with a scalpel? Or did one beautiful woman after another give you enough confidence as a man?" Adam was not used to this level of directness. "It seems that I have all three." Peggy smiled, and this look made Adam smile bitterly, because it was too similar to Juno's eyes that seemed to see through people's hearts like superpowers. If Juno's eyes were a talent, then Peggy's eyes should be a super talent with high IQ and a supplementary talent. As long as she is willing, she can see through the deep mysteries of the universe. So how can she not see through a person's mind? She is not a Trissolaran sophomore. My mother and her boyfriend are traveling abroad. Peggy suddenly changed the subject. Really? Adam almost sprained his waist due to the sudden turn and smiled awkwardly. Then why did you ask me to come here? What can I help you with? No hurry. Peggy blinked and said playfully, I believe you can do it. Adam grinned, and many pictures emerged involuntarily in his mind. So, how are you and Juno? Peggy smiled. Adam was stunned, but still said, we are very good, and have always been best friends. Just friends? Peggy smiled and said, I don't believe it. Many people don't believe it. Adam smiled and said, but we are indeed best friends, the pure kind. Are you not interested in her, or is she not interested in you? Peggy asked. Sheldon and I are also best friends, but I am interested in him, but he is asexual and has no interest in me at all. Adam was speechless for a moment, thought about it, and said, it should be that neither of us has that interest. Juno has Karen, and I don't have the heart to fall in love at all. Who doesn't know the romantic wanderer Adam Duncan? Peggy said playfully. Sheldon said that his brother, George, used to scold you often. Haha. Adam smiled but said nothing. He was not angry when George scolded him a few times, because he had a secret affair with Veronica. If he were George, he would scold himself too. Do you know why I came to you? Peggy changed the subject. Why? Adam's heartbeats quickened again. Sheldon asked me to find you. Peggy's mouth curled up, and her smile was a little wicked. I have always wanted to study physiology practice with him, but he is always a child who never grows up. Not only does he not have any intention in that aspect, but he is also extremely disgusted and almost blocked me. Adam's heart beat faster. This evil smile made Peggy's beautiful face covered with a different kind of extreme temptation. Adam, the god of cars in Akina Mountain, had never met such a person. Even Heather, who was delicate and ferocious, his favorite girl at the time, did not give him such a feeling. This is not a visual impact of appearance and figure, but a spiritual impact of temperament. For a moment, Adam even had the illusion that he couldn't bear it. Ahem. This is indeed very Sheldon. Adam subconsciously wanted to break the ambiguous atmosphere, but he couldn't say anything, because Peggy had come directly over and blocked all his words. Chapter 336. Two-Man Adam. Peggy's apartment. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Adam was caught in three soul-searching questions. When his dazed eyes regained focus, he was met with long eyelashes that almost poked his eyes, and bright eyes with an evil smile under the eyelashes. Holy shit. Adam finally realized that he seemed to be trapped against the wall. What are you looking at? What's wrong with looking at you? Try looking at someone else. In an instant, Adam and Peggy seemed to have entered the realm of magical power that Lily Matthew and others had. Eye contact. Are you sure? Why are you pretending to be a good person? What are you sure about? If you really don't want to, shouldn't you ask me when my birthday is and whether I'm an adult, or just push me away? June 25th. I'm an adult. Haha. How do you remember it so clearly? We are friends. Do you remember all your friends' birthdays? What else are you talking about? Stop talking. Even eye contact won't work. Downstairs of the apartment, Leonard looked up at the third floor with expectation, waiting for Adam's good news. Half an hour later. No hurry, no hurry, Leonard said to himself. An hour later, Adam also said that he hadn't seen Dr. Peggy Adler for 7 years. Of course, there are many things to talk about when reminiscing about the past. Leonard was very considerate of Adam. 2 hours later, Leonard felt a little chill in the refreshing autumn breeze. Dr. Peggy Adler has something to ask Adam for help. She must be very busy now. It's normal for her to take a long time. She shouldn't forget that I'm still waiting for him. 3 hours later, it was noon. Adam still had no shadow. Leonard's experience of being forced to play the cello by his mother Beverly made him play many classic melodies in his mind, but none of them were not sad and sorrowful. Adam probably really forgot that I was waiting downstairs. And, what on earth was Adam doing upstairs for so long? Leonard's mind flashed with Adam's handsome face and Peggy's peerless beauty, and his heart became more and more sad. No way, no way, no way. In this mood, Leonard still stood there. It was not that he didn't want to leave, but he really couldn't move his legs. He was full of powerlessness. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He had been waiting for Adam downstairs for 5 hours. There was still no sign of Adam. Then, he saw a short-haired girl carrying a big box of things and walking towards the apartment. "My classmate. This is Dr. Peggy Adler's apartment, right?" The short-haired girl looked around the apartment, saw Leonard wearing glasses standing downstairs, walked over, and smiled heartily. "Yes." Leonard's eyes lit up. "Are you delivering food to Dr. Adler? Can I help you?" "Haha, no need." The short-haired girl shook her head and smiled. "I can do it myself." "Oh." Leonard was a little disappointed and watched the short-haired girl carrying the big box and walked in. "Room 3A, ding dong." The short-haired girl rang the doorbell. "Lisa, you're here." After a while, Adam half opened the door and leaned against the door to smile at the short-haired girl. "Boss, this is the food you asked for." Lisa handed the big box to Adam with a strange look in her eyes. "Thank you, Lisa." Adam took the food box. Because the food box was too big, he could only open the door a little wider. "Boss, is there anything else you need?" The scenery in the room flashed by, and Lisa clearly saw a girl wearing Adam's clothes, lying on the desk and writing furiously. The exposed side face made her, who was also a woman, very excited. "Kin beast, this is clearly a female student, and she is even rushing to finish her homework for tomorrow's class. The boss can actually do it. Is she Dr. Peggy Adler's sister or daughter?" "No, you go back." Adam shook his head, explained, and closed the door. Lisa, who had imagined countless indescribable scenes in her mind, went downstairs and saw Leonard, who was still waiting there. She imagined it again, and looked at Leonard with sympathy. However, her job was easy and the income was not low. It was not easy to come by. She didn't want to lose this good job because of commenting on the boss's private life. Besides, considering the boss's conditions, whether it is his figure, appearance, wealth, status, or even age, it is not too much to do such a thing. Maybe they are true love? The head is determined by the butt. Lisa's initial discomfort gradually disappeared, and she thought about pure love. Looking at Leonard again, pity and sympathy are still there, but the taste has changed. In the upstairs apartment, "Peggy, eat something?" Adam walked over with a lunch box and said gently. Peggy wrote furiously, without any reaction. Line after line of mathematical formulas were written like flowing water. She didn't seem to need to consider such a complicated calculation process at all, and wrote the calculation answer directly, just like a humanoid computer. "Peggy." Adam couldn't help but call again. "Don't bother me." Peggy kept writing, without even looking at Adam, and her delicate forehead was slightly frowned. Adam suddenly felt a little distressed. He hated to see Peggy frowning the most. Who would have thought that he would have such a day? Adam smiled bitterly, and the previous scene emerged in his mind. Peggy's soul-searching questioning left Adam speechless. In fact, if he really didn't want to, with his reaction speed, how could Peggy sneak attack him? It's just that his facial features were distracted by Peggy's facial features. Facing a beautiful girl with natural charm like Peggy, Adam's resistance was really not strong. Later, he simply stopped pretending. Anyway, she was an adult. We are all adults, and it is reasonable to fight when we see each other. So, Adam showed his cards. That's right, he is the car god of Akina Mountain. A few hours are enough for him to teach Peggy a lesson. However, something he never expected happened. After more than 2 hours of fighting, Peggy suddenly pushed him away, regardless of his dissatisfaction, and staggered to the desk, picked up a pen and began to write on the calculation paper. He talked to her, but she ignored him. Adam had no choice but to get up and put his coat on Peggy, and then went to the bathroom to take a cold shower. He wrote for more than 2 hours, with no intention of stopping at all. Am I providing her with inspiration? Adam called Lisa, the assistant of his assistant, and asked her to make some blood-replenishing food. While his mind was full of wild thoughts, others are muses. What am I? Adam, the inspiration man? Adam, the tool man, fell into an unprecedented emotion. He knew that this emotion was wrong, contrary to his principles, and even mostly self-indulgent, but he decided to let this emotion run wild in his mind for a while, just for a while. Quietly watching this beautiful scene, Adam's mouth curled up slightly. P.S. Thank you Starlight for the reward. Chapter 337 Wait for my call at Peggy's apartment. Adam quietly admired the picturesque scene for a long time. He suddenly felt as if he had forgotten something. He tried hard to think about it, but he couldn't remember it for a while. Forget it. Adam shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He opened the lunchbox and began to enjoy the meal. While eating, he paid attention to Peggy's movements. He wanted to see if Peggy could really devote herself to scientific research under the aroma of food. The result made him very relieved. Peggy didn't move at all. It seems that my driving skills have not regressed. Adam compared it with the food and felt very relieved. Peggy's mother and boyfriend went abroad for a trip, Adam thought while eating. Looking at her enthusiasm for scientific research, it's really worrying that no one takes care of her. Thinking of this, he scanned the entire apartment and immediately found several evidences that Peggy will not take care of herself once her mother is gone, and shook his head. How can this be possible? Adam touched his chin and thought about it, and called his assistant Tata. Help me check if room 3B of the Princeton University apartment is for sale. If it is, buy it immediately. Want extra money? No problem. If it is not for sale, find the nearest one in this apartment building and buy it. Be quick. It's best to get it done before dark. Besides cooking, is Lisa good at housework? She is good, very good. Please find me a new cook, and I will hire Lisa elsewhere. That's it. After hanging up his phone, Adam called Lisa, the assistant's assistant. Lisa, do you want a promotion? Needless to say, Lisa happily accepted the new position, from the assistant's assistant to the assistant, and was directly responsible to Adam. The reason for finding Lisa was that she was efficient and reliable. With Peggy in such a state, Adam naturally couldn't find an ordinary housekeeper for her. He felt more at ease to let Lisa live opposite or nearby to take care of her. When Peggy gets into the mood, you must not interfere with her inspiration, but you must also ensure her health. It's hard to grasp the balance. Adam told Lisa everything he could think of. Don't worry, boss. Lisa learned that she had been promoted and had a raise. She was full of energy at the moment. She imagined that her boss really loved that girl. Maybe she was the boss's wife. She worked harder and patted her chest to promise, I will take good care of her. Then, she found something wrong. Hey, boss. Are you talking about the girl I saw when I delivered the meal just now? Or Dr. Peggy Adler? Lisa stammered. Or the two of them? Adam's mouth twitched, and he said speechlessly, how can there be two of them? The one you saw was Peggy Adler. I wonder what's on your mind? Nothing. Lisa immediately smiled, but she was complaining in her heart. How can I know if you don't tell me? Everyone knows that you rich people are the best at having fun. I misunderstood that there were two of them. Is it strange? But the girl turned out to be Dr. Peggy Adler. Are doctors so worthless now? Such a young and beautiful female doctor. The boss's vision is really sharp. Hang up the phone. Adam got up and turned around, thinking about providing Peggy with a better living environment. Turning to a mirror, he looked at himself in the mirror. He was stunned at first, and then his expression became weird. Is this still him? What about the promise of more than friends, less than lovers? Damn the dongo men's love affair with two women in my previous life. Adam pondered for a long time and finally found the reason. Peggy is indeed more beautiful, smarter, and more evil than Heather, Max, Bianca. But it's not enough to make Adam lose his composure. The real reason is not these. After coming to this American TV series and film world for too long, he has gradually been assimilated by the customs of this world. He has adapted to local customs and taken some things for granted. But this does not mean that the three views that Adam has cultivated for decades in his previous life have disappeared. They are just lurking deeper. Without special scene stimulation, they will not show up at all. After figuring this out, Adam sat back on the sofa and smiled to himself. This is the situation. Peggy is indeed special, but in this free world, with her personality, even if Adam wants to be serious in advance, she may not be serious. Just look at her ruthless attitude when she draws the gun. This kind of thing has no meaning to her. The ultimate mystery of the universe is what she is thinking about. It's a fool's behavior to be too entangled in this. Adam certainly couldn't do that. Sitting on the sofa, while watching Peggy working hard, Adam adjusted himself psychologically. He was a professional in this regard. An afternoon passed quickly. At night, the lights came on. Assistant Ada was still very efficient at work. She personally brought the key to the opposite room 3B and came with Lisa. "Well done," Adam praised. "It's all thanks to the boss's willingness to increase the salary." Ada hit the key point in one sentence. "Lisa, Peggy is in your hands." Adam smiled and looked at Lisa. "Call me if you have anything." "Okay, boss," Lisa agreed with full energy. "Peggy, this is Lisa, she lives next door to you. You can ask her for help if you have anything." After Adam finished explaining, he walked to Peggy and whispered, "I have to get up early to go to work tomorrow, so I'm leaving first." Peggy didn't respond and was still thinking. Seeing this, Adam shook his head, motioned Lisa to stay, and walked out with Ada. "Wait for my call." The moment the door closed, Peggy's voice came from behind. Adam turned around and saw that Peggy's posture had not changed at all. He almost thought it was an auditory hallucination, but Lisa's thumbs up and exaggerated expression clearly told him that this was true. The arc of Adam's mouth appeared uncontrollably. "In the elevator, boss, I heard from Lisa that there seems to be a boy waiting downstairs, and he seems to be very concerned about Peggy," Ada said casually, but was interrupted by Adam before she finished speaking. "Shit, Leonard." As soon as the elevator reached the first floor, Adam rushed out of the elevator immediately. Looking back at the original position, he saw a desolate figure standing there. "Leonard, I'm sorry, I forgot." Adam walked over and apologized repeatedly. He said why he always felt like he forgot something. "Adam, why did you take so long up there?" Leonard complained. "You can even forget this. What did you do up there?" Adam didn't know how to tell Leonard, but as a friend, he didn't want to give Leonard the wrong signal, so he could only pat Leonard on the shoulder and said seriously, "I remember you said that Dr. Elizabeth Plimpton from the School of Physics is also very beautiful, otherwise, I will take you over and introduce you to her." Leonard. P.S. Thanks to T. Amo, Zai, Saipan, and Liziaxanen for the rewards. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338 Adam's small goal. You and her? Leonard's expression was tangled but relieved. After such a long wait, especially after nightfall, it was no longer a slight chill in the refreshing autumn breeze, but a complete chill. With Leonard's IQ of 173, could he really not guess what Adam was doing there? He was not Sheldon. He was particularly sensitive to such things. The otaku's inherent ability to imagine colors and the imagination of his genius brain made him think about everything he could and couldn't think of during the 10-hour wait. Now that Adam had given him a clear hint, Adam and Peggy's wedding photo appeared directly in Leonard's mind. One was his goddess, the other was his best friend. What made him helpless was that he actually felt that they were a perfect match. Now Adam actually wanted to use another woman to dispel his admiration for Goddess Peggy, even if it was Dr. Elizabeth Plimpton, who was slightly inferior to Goddess Peggy. But was he the kind of person who would easily change his mind? You said it. The tangled unhappiness on Leonard's face disappeared instantly, and the arc of his mouth almost reached the back of his ears. That's right, he is this kind of person. He is a top student at Princeton School of Physics, not a child. Dr. Peggy Adler and Dr. Elizabeth Plimpton are both his admirers, and they are all unattainable. There are many such goddesses: Natalie Portman, Queen Amidala in Star Wars, Sarah Michelle Gellar, the heroine of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and countless beautiful female characters in movies and TV series. That's right, he, Leonard Rich Hofstadter, is so philanthropic. I said it. Adam was not surprised, because this is Leonard. Go now? Leonard's eyes lit up again. This is Dr. Elizabeth Plimpton, the great beauty in the scientific world, second only to Dr. Peggy Adler. He didn't feel wronged at all. As Adam's good friend, he thought he couldn't compare to Adam. Then Adam is the first match for Dr. Peggy Adler. Doesn't it mean that it is God's will that he is the second match for Dr. Elizabeth Plimpton? Praise God. Praise Adam. At this moment, Leonard naively thought that God had wiped out everyone in the world for him, leaving only the four of them on the earth. Fortunately, Adam didn't know his idea, otherwise, I'm afraid he would have to smile apologetically again. It's too late tonight, maybe next time. Adam hugged Leonard. First, I have to contact her first, and second, you have to dress up well. You can't meet her like this, right? Leonard couldn't help but look at himself. He was just habitually wandering downstairs of the goddess today, just to meet the goddess by chance, so he didn't dress up specially. Now that he heard that there was hope to communicate with the second goddess face to face, he immediately disliked his own dress. Yeah, come on, you must be hungry too. Let's go to a big meal and discuss the details of your meeting with Dr. Plimpton. Adam smiled. Yeah. Leonard didn't even remember the entanglement and unhappiness just now. He nodded repeatedly, and his mouth never closed. If he could get help from Adam by waiting for 10 hours, what would it matter if he stood for 10 days? That's right, for love. He was so patient. Otherwise, he wouldn't get Penny in the future. Howard and others summed up his success experience in one word: grinding. This is his talent. Adam took Leonard to a nearby high-end restaurant for a big meal. At the table, he listened to Leonard's excited and endless talk about the various legendary stories of Dr. Elizabeth Plimpton. Looking at this familiarity, who would believe that Leonard had never thought about it? But it's okay this way. Adam likes this kind of friend who is easy to satisfy and doesn't make trouble. After dinner, Adam drove Leonard back to his apartment in Princeton and returned to New York. What did you do today? So exaggerated. Bianca was a little afraid of Adam's enthusiasm. I went to help a friend. Adam told the truth and did two things at the same time. Bianca was no longer in the mood to talk. Before she fell into a deep sleep, she had only one thought in her mind: we must move out tomorrow. We can't live like this anymore. Adam got up refreshed and went to the study. As his assets continued to grow rapidly, he deliberately renovated the study into a real study. It occupies an area of 100 square meters, and rows of bookshelves are filled with books, most of which are medical tomes. These books alone are worth a lot of money. Adam did not directly pick up a medical book to scan as usual, but walked around the study, picked up a book on advanced mathematics, and flipped through it. In the past, he only wanted a doctorate in medicine, to become a great doctor, to save the dying and the wounded, and to live 100 years. Now, the big goal is steadily advancing. Major operations can no longer be performed, and minor operations are gradually increasing. The increase and loss of lifespan are gradually beginning to equalize. The urgent need for lifespan has greatly decreased, and with today's events, Adam has the urge to set a small goal under the big goal. With his IQ of 177 and rising, he is qualified to aim for the top of the scientific contempt chain, mathematical science. He is not short of Adam's inspirational male god. If he wants to be one, he should be a real god, the only god. Why is Sheldon so valued by Peggy? It's because their IQs are similar, their mathematical talents are both top-notch, and they have common topics. After Sheldon chose theoretical physics, and his IQ is slightly lower than Peggy's, Sheldon is 187, and Peggy is estimated to be above 190. His achievements in mathematics are destined to be inferior to Peggy's, who specializes in mathematics. But Adam is different. His IQ can be continuously improved, and it is a foregone conclusion that he will surpass Sheldon and Peggy. In addition, he has unlimited energy to develop from showing off to inhuman, as long as he is willing. Even if he studies and researches in his spare time, he may make achievements that will shock Peggy. At the very least, he can have common topics with Peggy. Moreover, mathematics is the foundation of all sciences. Once his mathematical calculation ability is improved to a level close to or even exceeding Peggy's, there will be foreseeable benefits for his great medical career. The high-definition image memory and imagination of the stars and the sea that he vaguely got from Sheldon, plus the vast amount of medical knowledge that he worked hard to learn, formed a three-dimensional dynamic model of human medical data in his brain. The initial construction of this model has made him, as an intern, often misunderstood as a senior resident who put on a vest to bully newcomers. Once combined with mathematical calculation ability close to or even beyond Peggy, it is equivalent to upgrading the CPU. and the three-dimensional dynamic model of human medical data can definitely be further upgraded. At that time, Adam's diagnostic ability can be greatly improved. The road to becoming a great doctor will be smoother, and long live is not a dream. Chapter 339 Shameless. The next day, medical center. Hi. Various greetings came one after another. Most people looked very happy. That's right, having a day off not only relieves fatigue, but also releases hormones. It's impossible not to be in a good spirit. Doctors are also human beings, not machines. Even machines need to be lubricated sometimes. Adam, Dr. Shept has a patient who is likely to need surgery today. You go to participate in the ward rounds. Gzni blinked. Dr. Bailey will bring her interns there. Whether you can grab the opportunity for surgery depends on you. Okay. Adam accepted happily. He likes this kind of open competition the most. In the ward, Dr. Shept of the neurosurgery department is examining a patient, surrounded by a group of interns, not only Bailey's subordinates, but also other residents. Each one is energetic, eager to try, and full of fighting spirit. Christina looked at Adam provocatively. Adam smiled reservedly. Good morning, Mr. Levange. This is Dr. Bailey and her excellent interns. After Dr. Shept finished the examination, he glanced at everyone and introduced the patient. Welcome to hell, kids. Patient Levange's hands and feet were shaking like convulsions. With the help of his daughter, he walked with difficulty. Adam's eyes shrank. He was very familiar with this man's face. If he was a few years older, with a crooked mouth and slanted eyes, sitting in a wheelchair with an IV drip, he would be the old Mexican family elder in the American TV series Breaking Bad, the one with the vitality of a cockroach. This made him a little worried. This kind of family-based criminal group is very scary. Once involved, it will definitely be a headache. Who will make a medical statement? Dr. Bailey said. Edward Levange, 63 years old, was admitted to the hospital for movement disorder pain treatment. His condition has stabilized since last night, and the effect of the drug injection is good. Christina answered immediately. After speaking, she glanced at Adam proudly. Adam understood. In order to be one step ahead, even if she was forced to take a vacation, Christina still stayed in the hospital and got the first-hand information. Liz, can you tell me about that treatment? Unfortunately, Dr. Bailey asked directly. The treatment for Parkinson's disease? Liz said uncertainly. Deep brain stimulation. It's not for Parkinson's, it's for spinal pain. Adam answered directly. Use spinal catheterization, so that long-term pain can be treated with drugs. Dr. Shept, who was looking at Meredith affectionately and preparing to let Meredith speak. Dr. Shept, Adam reminded him, pretending to be ignorant. Very good. Dr. Shept's mouth twitched, and he said helplessly, this is Dr. Duncan. He will help you prepare for the operation and assist in treatment at any time. The principle of whoever is in charge should be followed even if he is the attending physician. Liz and others were helpless. Christina was unhappy. Meredith could only smile bitterly. Once she encountered such an open competition, even if she and Dr. Shept talked about this medical record in bed afterwards last night, she was fully prepared. But as long as Adam is there, it's useless. No matter how complicated the condition is, Adam can report the accurate treatment plan in the first time. Even if she doesn't pretend to think a little before coming up with the answer, and directly reveals that she knows it in advance, she still can't beat Adam. Adam is too fast, faster than her who knows the answer in advance. Even if she can't beat him by cheating, what else can she do except smile bitterly? If she did this, she would have been seen through by others. But when Adam is like this, no one says a word of gossip, no one questions Adam's ability, just a few complaints that Adam is definitely not an intern. That's it. The gap between people is sometimes so helpless. After deciding Adam as the attending physician, everyone dispersed. Adam followed the process in a rigid manner, paying attention to every step, always caring, and unwilling to say one more word or do one more thing easily. No matter if this man is the ruthless and troublesome person he thinks he is just the attending physician. As long as there is no personal emotional conflict with the patient, even if there is a problem with the operation, the patient is really a ruthless and troublesome person, the probability of him making trouble is also very low. This operation was very interesting, So Adam would not give up easily. Although his goal in the future is to specialize in cardiothoracic surgery, as a man who is determined to be a great doctor, isn't it a routine operation to be proficient in multiple disciplines? For example, a certain idiot is proficient in all disciplines. There is no system in American TV series. Dr. House Next Door also specializes in infectious diseases and kidney diseases. He is proficient in almost all theories, otherwise he would not be able to diagnose difficult and complicated diseases. He even has a surgical license and can perform surgical operations on patients from time to time. He can do both internal medicine and surgery. So, if you say that Dr. House is not the absolute male protagonist of a certain American TV series, Adam would never believe it. Adam is also an idiot with a system. With so many predecessors watching him, how could he be satisfied with the title of a cardiothoracic surgeon? The most important organs in the human body are the heart and the brain. Therefore, in addition to cardiothoracic surgery, neurosurgery is also a field that Adam will inevitably get involved in. Now that there is a neurosurgery operation available, how could he give up? All morning, Adam was busy preparing for the operation of his patient, Mr. Levange. Noon, hospital restaurant. You again, Christina said unhappily. Why is it always you? Liz and others also echo the complaints. Don't be like that. Adam smiled and said, it's not just this operation. I heard that Dr. Burke has treated a very interesting case. If it were me, I would like to participate in the operation of that giant tumor. Don't mention it. When she said this, Christina became even more angry. Alex is so shameless, despicable. Only Alex is so shameless to steal the operation by selling smiles. George and others condemned. What's going on? Adam only heard about the operation and didn't know the details. Originally, Alex would not have been the attending physician, Christina said angrily, but Alex tried to get close to the patient in advance, calling her Annie, Alex all the time, as if they were such good friends. Imagine a single woman in her 40s who, because of her low self-esteem, dared not go out to see people, stayed at home for more than a year, and let the tumor continue to grow to more than 60 pounds, 27 kilograms, until she had to be hospitalized. Faced with such flattery from Alex, how could she possibly resist? The patient directly asked Alex to be the attending physician. What could we do? He is completely deceiving the patient's feelings. Such a large tumor is creepy to look at, and it's thanks to his good acting skills. George complained. Haha. Adam laughed and said, this is the competition. It can't be said that he is shameless. It can only be said that you are not as good as others. Everyone was speechless. Don't doubt it. If they knew it was possible in advance, they would definitely do the same. No one else said anything. Christina would definitely be the first one to go. Even if she is a woman, the patient is also a woman. But as long as the female patient is interesting, she doesn't mind playing the role of a lesbian. P.S. Thanks to book friends 2017100415425421, Demon Lord Six Fingers, and Coffee Melon Seeds for their rewards. Chapter 340. I heard you're very strong, Dr. Duncan. After lunch, Adam returned to the ward to check on the patient. He was stopped by the daughter of Mr. Levange, who was suspected to be the head of the Mexican family. What's the matter? Adam smiled professionally. I wonder if you can talk to him, the patient's daughter said with a tired face. What to talk about? Adam smiled unchanged. Brain surgery, the patient's daughter said. The doctor mentioned it before, and I also looked up information on the internet. If it is successful, it will not only reduce his pain, but also alleviate most of his symptoms. He wants to do this kind of surgery? Adam smiled. He is a little scared. The patient's daughter was entangled. He can accept back surgery, but the brain. Sorry, we can only follow the patient's request. Adam understood and shook his head. He also wanted to perform brain surgery on Mr. Levange, but if the patient didn't want to, he wouldn't persuade him. Although it seems that now, apart from this daughter who looks like an ordinary person, there are no crazy people wearing big gold chains, and no expressionless twin killers come to visit. Mr. Levange, who looks and has symptoms like the Mexican family boss, is not that person. All similarities are coincidental, but Adam should still be cautious and follow the procedures. Without brain surgery, he will have no quality of life, and it will get worse and worse. The patient's daughter said painfully, "I'm getting married next month. I have lost my mother. I hope he can take me to the palace of marriage." "I understand," Adam nodded and said, "but I can only repeat this situation. Whether he is willing to have surgery depends on his own decision. I think you can tell him that fathers can overcome fear for their daughters most of the time. This is the truth. Although he has never been a father in his past life and has no daughter, he has seen many manifestations of fatherly love. For example, in those jokes, the cute little daughter asked her father, 'If I am going to die, and you can only save me by eating shit, are you willing to eat it?' The father said without hesitation, 'I will eat it.' The cute little daughter asked again, 'How much will you eat?' The father said humorously, 'Eat until you become immortal.' Of course, this example is a bit extreme and tasteful, but it also shows the father's love for his daughter. I asked him. The patient's daughter was dissatisfied, but he said he didn't want to. He would attend my wedding, but let my uncle lead me into the palace of marriage, and he would hide in the back row, and said that life is not perfect. If you want to do this brain surgery, it must be done when the patient is awake. Adam shook his head and said, "It is normal for Mr. Levenge to have concerns. If you really want him to hold your hand and walk into the palace of marriage, then you need to work harder to impress him. Otherwise we as doctors are powerless." A normal person would resist doing brain surgery while awake, listening to the roar of electric drills and other instruments behind the head. And if the operation is unsuccessful, the patient will die directly. It is reasonable for the patient to choose not to undergo a very risky brain surgery and insist on going to the scene to watch his daughter get married. In contrast, the patient's daughter insisted on asking her father to undergo surgery, regardless of the risk of the wedding banquet turning into a funeral banquet, which seems a bit selfish. In fact, you can consider doing a back surgery first, and wait until your wedding is over before doing a higher-risk brain surgery, Adam suggested. The patient's daughter lowered her head and stopped talking. Adam shook his head secretly in his heart. He understood her thoughts. She was getting married next month, and she should have been busy with her wedding now, tired and happy, but now she was tired of taking care of her father. At such a happy moment, she didn't have her father's support, but there was a trembling guest there to attract everyone's attention. Instead of this, she would rather her father undergo brain surgery now. Either he would recover a certain degree of mobility and could take her out, or he would unfortunately pass away, and she would wipe away her tears and continue to live. There is no filial son in front of a long-term sick bed. The patient's daughter made such a choice, which was also human nature. But understanding is understanding, and asking Adam to help her, that's out of the question. In the end, the patient's daughter failed to persuade her father to undergo brain surgery. Adam followed Dr. Shept with some regrets to perform a simple back surgery, but a blessing in disguise. As soon as the surgery was over, Adam ran to the observation operating room like everyone else. This giant tumor weighing more than 27 kilograms, which looked like the body of the Fantastic Four's Stone Man, was unprecedented and would definitely be written into medical textbooks. "Dr. Duncan, are you interested in participating in the operation of a giant tumor?" In the corridor, Dr. Burke scolded Alex, glanced at Adam, and suddenly invited him. Of course. Adam was stunned for a moment, then nodded immediately. "Then you and Christina get ready together, and follow me into the operating room later," Dr. Burke said, and turned away. "What's the situation?" Adam looked at Christina, who was celebrating with a fist, and smiled. "Alex, that idiot." Christina pouted at the back of Alex, who was leaving with an ugly face. He was pretending to be very convincing at first, and the poor woman was so fascinated that she really thought there was some spark between them. But when the patient went for the MRI and entered the MRI room, Alex's true nature was exposed. He gossiped with the operator in charge of the examination. Although the operator gossiped and said that the woman was a little pitiful, Alex directly said that the woman deserved it and was disgusting and perverted. But he forgot to turn off the microphone and was heard by the woman inside. After the examination, the patient said directly that she could have the operation, but Alex must not participate. Alex, the idiot, pretended to smile and asked why, whether he had offended her in some way. "Haha, scum," Adam said coldly. In this case, the patient can sue him, and with the patient's condition, the success rate of the lawsuit is still very high. When people don't have to face the power of capital, they are naturally sympathetic to the weak. He's lucky. Christina shrugged and said, the patient is in this state because of her inferiority complex and she is afraid to see people. Do you think she will sue Alex in court? But it's good. If Alex wasn't so stupid, we wouldn't have the chance to replace him in the operating room and participate in such a groundbreaking operation. That's true. Adam heard this and suppressed his disgust for Alex's scumbag nature and became happy. By the way, do you know why Dr. Burke chose me? How should I know? Why ask me? Christina was a little excited when she heard it. Adam looked at her strangely. I don't know either. Christina also realized her own loss of composure and looked away, not daring to look Adam in the eye. But I guess it's probably related to your famously strong body. You mean? Adam suddenly realized. Think about it. This operation is great and very difficult, and the operation is expected to last 14 hours. Christina confirmed Adam's idea. During this process, we need to hold the giant tumor throughout the whole process. Without a strong body, who can bear it? Can you help hold it for a while during the operation? No problem. Adam nodded with a smile. He was very happy to observe this extremely rare giant tumor at such a close distance. He has strength and endurance. P.S. Thanks to Zion Danchuran and M. Feng Feng Tsai for the reward. Chapter 341. Not being envied is mediocre. Observing the operating room, Dr. Shept, the chief neurosurgeon, and Dr. Burke, the chief cardiothoracic surgeon, performed a combined resection of the giant tumor with Dr. Bailey, a resident, Dr. Taylor, anesthesiologist, and Adam and Christina, interns. A group of doctors and nurses gathered under the spotlight, looking a little crowded. The observation room upstairs was already full of doctors. Alex crossed his arms and looked unhappily at Adam and Christina, who were waiting in the operating room downstairs. This operation was originally his. Just because his microphone had a problem, he was now excluded from the operation and was punished by Dr. Burke not to enter the operating room for a week. Why? This was an accident, and he didn't say bad things about the patient to his face. That's right, he really didn't think he had done anything wrong, and if he wanted to blame someone, he should blame the microphone. In the operating room, Dr. Burke was the first to perform the operation, and he was responsible for the lung surgery. Such a huge tumor has severely compressed the patient's lungs, making it difficult for her to breathe and at risk of suffocation at any time. After Dr. Burke dealt with the lungs, Dr. Shept performed the spinal surgery. Because of the dense nerves above, the operation needs to be very careful, so the operation will take a long time. Christina is as excited and confident as Adam. However, 8 hours later, more suction. Bring another bag of O-negative blood. Electrocauterize these small bleeding spots to keep my vision clear. Dr. Burke issued a series of orders. Dr. Duncan, can you still hold on? You need to stay absolutely stable later. Dr. Burke looked at Adam, who had been holding the giant tumor. No problem. Adam was very stable and smiled confidently. Dr. Burke nodded, and glanced at Christina, who had been standing by inside. Christina pretended not to see Dr. Burke's eyes and did not dare to look him in the eye. The reason why she was able to enter the operating room was not because Dr. Burke chose her, but because she made Dr. Burke choose her. Just like Alex acted to please the patient and became the patient's bedside doctor, Christina slept with Dr. Burke and asked him to bypass Dr. Bailey, a resident doctor, and directly let Dr. Bailey inform Christina to participate in the operation. However, unlike Bailey, who strongly resisted Dr. Shep's favoritism towards Meredith, Dr. Bailey knew Christina's level. Therefore, she had no objection, and she never thought that Christina, who was very similar to her, would eventually embark on Meredith's evil path. At the beginning, Christina and Adam held the giant tumor together, and were able to observe this groundbreaking operation in the best surgical field. But as time went on, even if Adam took on most of the weight, just to maintain the lifting posture for 8 hours, Christina, who was an ordinary person, could not bear it. Frequent twisting of the body accidentally moved the giant tumor. There was no way. Adam could only say that he was completely fine alone, and asked Christina to step back to avoid making things worse. "You did a great job, Dr. Duncan." Half an hour later, after Dr. Burke finished the lung surgery, he praised Adam for stabilizing the giant tumor without any shaking, as if it was placed on a platform. "Your body is really as strong as the rumors say. It seems that next time there is a similar surgery, it is more appropriate to find you. Anytime, anywhere, I have no problem." Adam smiled in cooperation. Although it was a joke, Adam was telling the truth. It was a great affirmation for Adam to be able to let Leonard's new rival say this. If Dr. Burke is willing to give Adam more opportunities in the future, Adam's path to becoming a great doctor will be smoother. Haha. The surgery was immediately filled with laughter. When the surgeon joked, the others naturally had to laugh along. This was basic courtesy, not to mention that it was quite funny. There are still 5 or 6 hours to go. Dr. Shept, who took over the position of the main surgeon, was also convinced by Adam's physical strength. He let go of the frustration of being interrupted by Adam in the morning and joked, "Dr. Duncan, are you sure you can do it?" "No problem." Adam smiled and said, "If you can't hold on, I will immediately let Dr. Yang take over." Hearing this, Christina looked at Adam gratefully. "Well, let's get started. The sooner we finish, the lower the risk to the patient." Dr. Shept announced the official start of the spinal surgery. "Look at this artery. My God, it's as thick as a thumb. Have you ever seen such a thick blood vessel?" "No." Everyone shook their heads. "This thing needs a lot of blood supply," Dr. Shept said while performing the operation. "The 10 units of blood are almost used up. Contact the blood bank immediately. We need more O-negative blood." In the observation room upstairs. "Damn Adam." Alex was busy outside. When he came back, he saw the scene of Adam being praised by Dr. Burke and the whole audience laughing. Compared with him being scolded and punished by Dr. Burke, it was really dazzling. He usually saw all of Adam's contempt for him and knew it in his heart. He used to be very disdainful. "You look down on me, and I look down on you too." But now such a sharp contrast is like a slap in the face, as if telling him, Adam is indeed qualified to look down on you, but you can only endure it. This makes him, who has a ruffian personality, very angry. "How is it going?" Meredith finished his work and walked into the observation room. "Still the same," Alex said coldly. "Are you really as superficial and cold as you look?" Meredith looked at him scrutinizingly. "Why, do you want to go out for a drink tonight?" Alex immediately turned his head to look at her. "Listen to the pain in my heart. Does your routine of picking up girls work?" Meredith smiled. "Occasionally." Alex shrugged. "That must be because of your appearance." Meredith looked away. "Do you mean you agreed?" Alex smiled ruffianly. "No, I have a boyfriend." Meredith refused, but her tone was too hesitant, revealing something. If Adam was there, he would definitely look at her boyfriend, Dr. Shept, the dreamy man, with sympathy. In the operating room below, Dr. Shept didn't know that his girlfriend was casting a green shadow on him with the handsome guy, and he was focused on the operation. At this time, the isolation door of the operating room was opened. Without time to put on a mask, Liz walked in with the mask to her mouth. "Our operation is not over yet," Dr. Burke, who was assisting on the side, scolded. "Mr. Harper, the heart surgery patient in Ward 2114. I had to perform a thoracotomy on him in the ward." Liz covered her mask and said anxiously, "What did you do?" Everyone looked over. "What?" Alex in the observation room upstairs was even more confused, because the attending doctor of Ward 2114 was him. Adam stole his operation, but now even Liz dared to steal his patients. This is intolerable. Chapter 342. In times of crisis, one's true heroic qualities are revealed. Observing the operating room, he has acute cardiac tamponade. This morning's chest x-ray was normal. Everything happened too fast. He suddenly fell into a coma. His condition is critical. I have to operate on him. Liz was panicked and angry as she told the situation. She was panicked because it was her first time to experience emergency surgery. She was angry because it was not her responsibility. She was completely drafted. She was panicked and almost watched a patient die in her hands. "You go. I can handle it here." Dr. Shept gestured to Dr. Burke. Dr. Burke walked out immediately after hearing this. The heart patient was indeed his patient, and he was also a patient in his clinic. Now he was urgently operated on by an intern under him. God knows how bad the situation will be. This is related to his reputation. At this time, Alex also rushed in angrily and questioned Liz. "You didn't call me and did a thoracotomy in the ward? You want to show off your ability, right? I called you 50 times, Liz said excitedly. "Do you know what I went through? Oh, the battery is dead. I forgot to change the battery." Alex took the pager and found that it was out of power and stopped working. She couldn't help but smile. "You forgot?" Liz saw that this was the reason. Alex dared to smile and laughed. She couldn't control her emotions anymore and shouted, "You actually forgot?" She became more and more excited. She snatched the pager from Alex's hand and threw it to the ground. She jumped and stomped on it, and shouted, "You bastard, damn, lazy, arrogant, hateful guy." The saliva sprayed all over Alex's face, so that Alex had to cover his eyes with his hands. After scolding, Liz turned around and left. She felt sick when she saw Alex's face. "Now, the medical center is really never quiet," Dr. Bailey complained helplessly. "It seems that Dr. Clive is the one with the strongest background among all of us." Adam couldn't help but sneer. How long has it been since he started his internship? Alex first ignored the nurse's reminder and perfunctorily treated the patient, causing the patient's condition to worsen. He also said that someone as old as her should have died long ago. He had no medical ethics and was extremely bad. Then he messed up his acting and insulted the patient, saying that he deserved it and was a disgusting pervert. Now he neglected his duties and almost killed the patient. In addition, his professional level was obviously not up to the qualification to enter the medical center for internship. One thing after another, he still had no remorse at all. Such a person could actually stay in the medical center. If he said that he didn't have a strong background, Adam would never believe it. As the protagonist of The Cheating Male, Adam didn't dare to do any of these. Dr. Bailey glanced at Adam and subconsciously wanted to say something. Alex was an intern under her. She could complain about him, but others couldn't. Especially Adam was also an intern with a background. But thinking of Adam's strength, and the fact that Adam did not deny that he had a background, and that his words were not harsh, she could only swallow the words that were about to come out of her mouth. Does Alex have a strong background? Of course he does. Dr. Bailey vaguely knew that Alex got in through Dean Glassman's relationship, and she also knew that Alex had not passed the doctor's professional qualification examination. He failed. If he failed the makeup exam in a while, he would not even be qualified to be a doctor, let alone receive residency training in the medical center. Damn the relationship. Dr. Bailey cursed in her heart. She just had no connections and relied on her own hard work. She worked more than 110 hours a week in the hospital to achieve a status respected by everyone from top to bottom. If she was the dean, she would never let scum like Alex enter the hospital. If she was the chief of surgery, after Alex did those things that had a very bad impact, she would definitely not care about the dean's face and directly expel people like Alex. If she was the attending physician, Alex would never be able to get close to her operating room. But unfortunately, she was none of them. She was just an intern, theoretically the same as Alex, both undergoing residency training. Before she finished her training and got her license as an attending physician, she couldn't afford to offend the dean, so she could only turn a blind eye. Shit. At this moment, something unexpected happened. No one paid attention to Alex's troubles. Everyone's attention immediately returned to the operation because the patient began to bleed. Hurry up and control the bleeding point. Her body can't withstand heavy bleeding. She needs a blood bag. Suction more. I can't see anything clearly. Clamp, clamp. Hurry up. Is there any blood in the rapid syringe? 2 bags are waiting to be sent. What do you mean by waiting? We didn't expect to lose so much blood. We have prepared double the amount of blood, but it's all used up. The operating room was in chaos, and Dr. Shept and the nurse talked quickly and urgently. Where did you cut? Dr. Shept asked Dr. Bailey again. Nothing was cut. It ruptured on its own. Dr. Bailey explained quickly. She was already in a very bad condition when she was admitted to the hospital, and the arterial wall is too fragile. 10 bags of blood have been used. The nurse reminded. I can't see clearly. Dr. Shept was sprayed with blood and his vision was blurred. The blood pressure is dropping. If the bleeding can't be controlled, The patient will not be able to hold on," the nurse who was watching the instrument reminded loudly. "Found it." At this moment, Adam reached out and pressed the bleeding point. "What?" Dr. Shept was a little unbelievable. In such a panic situation, there was no time to aspirate it cleanly. It was all luck to quickly and accurately find the bleeding point in the blood red. "The amount of bleeding is decreasing, and the blood pressure has stabilized." The nurse's reminder verified Adam's words. "Good job, Adam." Dr. Shept was overjoyed, and he didn't call Dr. Duncan, who was very distant, but called his name directly. "Hold it." Then he shouted to the nurse, "Let them send the blood bag over, immediately, right now. Aspirate. Help me clear my vision." Dr. Shept quickly issued orders one by one. At this time, if the surgeon panics or gets confused, then it's all over and the patient will die. But if he doesn't panic and knows what to do, then the patient's survival rate will be greatly improved. The famous Dr. Shept would not panic. The reason why he seemed panicked just now was because he couldn't find the bleeding point. Without a blood bag for transfusion, it's impossible to find the bleeding point quickly. Even if he is a famous doctor, he can't do anything. But when Adam miraculously blocked the bleeding point, he immediately seized the opportunity. At this moment, Dr. Shept was full of gratitude that Dr. Burke chose Adam to assist in the operating room. Chapter 343. "Sorry, I forgot that I'm the only one who can do it. Christina, hurry up and help Adam hold it together." After the crisis was temporarily relieved, Dr. Shept saw Adam holding the giant tumor with one hand and reaching into the patient's body with the other hand to press the bleeding point, looking like a pillar of support. Even he was impressed, fearing that Adam could not hold on, and hurriedly instructed Christina, who was standing outside. Oh. Christina hurried up and stretched out her hand to support. Then her eyes widened, because she realized that the weight of the giant tumor was still all on Adam's single hand, just as stable as Adam's two hands just now. Adam smiled at her. Christina immediately understood, looked at him gratefully, and did not say anything. She stood there, stretched out her hand to support, but it was just a virtual support. Dr. Shep's spinal surgery is obviously more demanding than Dr. Burke's previous lung surgery. The discomfort caused by maintaining the lifting posture for 8 hours before has not recovered until now, and she dare not make things worse. The reason why she pretended was because she also wanted to accumulate the recognition of the bosses. Such a rare surgery was taught to you, but you are useless. Who will take the initiative to take you next time? The medical industry is indeed full of connections, but when it comes to the real thing, you must have sufficient professional level. Otherwise, even a world-famous doctor cannot take care of a cheating relative. With Adam's stable blood control, the patient finally survived until the blood bank sent blood. This time, it was Alex who sent the blood. "Get out." Dr. Burke, who rushed back to help after dealing with the sudden condition of the heart patient, was immediately furious when he saw Alex and pointed at the door of the operating room. "I'm here to deliver blood," Alex said unhappily. At that time, the operating room urgently needed blood bags. Seeing Adam's great success, he also felt proud and ran out of the operating room. After running a few steps, he met the nurse who delivered the blood bag. After asking, under the nurse's puzzled eyes, he directly snatched the blood bag and ran into the operating room. "Nurse, it's only a few steps away. I also trotted here, I can do it." He felt that he was also a hero who had shed sweat. He was moved by himself, but he didn't expect to get such treatment. How could he accept it? "Nurses will naturally handle the blood delivery. You don't need to interfere," Dr. Burke said coldly. "The patient clearly requested that you were not allowed to enter the operating room before the operation. I also clearly ordered you not to enter the operating room within a week. Didn't you hear it?" Alex's face fell. Being scolded in public like this, no matter how thick-skinned he was, he couldn't stand it. There were dozens of doctors and nurses gathered in the operating room and the observation room above. It was far more embarrassing than the previous 2 times he was scolded. "What do you mean by you?" Dr. Burke shouted. "It has been so long since Mr. Harper was critically ill." As the attending physician, have you visited him? You should spend your time observing the patient's condition instead of clearly violating orders. Now, get out. The whole operating room was filled with Dr. Burke's voice, and then there was a dead silence. Everyone felt Dr. Burke's anger. They can understand. As a doctor who saves lives and heals the wounded, he is most particular about following orders, because during surgery, a slight hesitation may cost a life. Alex not only repeatedly violated Dr. Burke's direct orders, but also almost killed Dr. Burke's patients. Until now, he still stayed in the operating room without knowing what was going on, instead of taking care of his patients. This kind of behavior can be directly fired. But Dr. Burke obviously knew that Alex was a relative, and a relative of the dean, so no matter how angry he was, he just yelled at Alex to get out. Alex left the operating room with a sullen face. "Dr. Bailey, Alex is not allowed to go near the operating room for 2 weeks," I said. Dr. Burke looked at Alex's direct boss with lingering anger. "I know," Dr. Bailey agreed with a cold face, and secretly decided in his heart that he would let Alex do rectal examinations for 2 weeks when he went out. It was too embarrassing. "Don't be angry, Dr. Burke." Seeing the solemn atmosphere, Dr. Shept, the only one with the same status as Dr. Burke, spoke up. "Let's talk about something happy. Do you know the dangerous situation just now? The patient almost didn't survive, all thanks to Dr. Duncan's outstanding performance." After the danger was over and the emotion faded, Adam turned back into Dr. Duncan. "This is also human nature. I heard about it." Dr. Burke's face relaxed and nodded. "Obviously there are really outstanding interns. You are also a wise man." Dr. Shept smiled and said, "My vision was blurred by blood just now. The situation was so urgent that even I couldn't find the bleeding point for a while, but Dr. Duncan found it in time. It was really lucky." "It's not luck." Adam's face was reserved, but he spoke the truth frankly, without any modesty. "This is the United States, and he is undergoing residency training. Showing his strength as much as possible is the only choice to win the final victory in this competition. So, he showed his cards directly. What luck and miracles. There is no such thing. He is so capable." "It's not luck?" Dr. Shept and Dr. Burke looked at each other and looked at Adam with amusement. "Can you tell me that in such an emergency, in such a short time, you could see the bleeding point at a glance?" "Yes." Adam nodded honestly. "It's actually very simple to deduce the bleeding point based on the blood spraying trajectory at the moment of bleeding." Everyone was speechless, with an expression that "You are teasing us. Are you serious?" Only Christina felt that Adam was not joking. "Didn't you see Adam holding a giant tumor with one hand for so long and so steadily? If it were a professional weightlifter, it would probably not be able to do it, but Adam did it easily. It's impossible not to accept it." "Of course," Adam said seriously, "this is the simplest math problem. The bleeding point sprays blood in all directions, and the blood spraying trajectories overlap together. Isn't it the origin? But there is a problem." At that moment, "Did you remember all the blood spraying trajectories?" Christina asked the question that everyone was thinking. "Yes," Adam said seriously. "Can't you remember it?" Everyone's mouth twitched at the same time. "Please." The blood spurted out so suddenly, at such a fast speed, and in such a short time, one could only remember where the blood spurted to, but how could they remember the trajectory of the blood spurting? Even if it happened again, they would stare at it with wide eyes, and at most they could see where the bleeding point was, but not remember the damn trajectory of the blood spurting. They didn't have the visual superpower of pausing or 0.1 times the speed, so how could ordinary people's eyes catch this? "Sorry," Adam shrugged. "I have a high-definition image memory. I forgot you don't have it." Everyone. Chapter 344, Doctor's Bar, 2 o'clock in the morning. The 14-hour operation to remove the giant tumor was finally over. Except for the life-and-death crisis in the middle, everything went smoothly. "Great job, everyone." After Dr. Shept finished, he gave his usual affirmation. "We saved a life." Everyone looked tired and happy. "Saving the dying and the wounded is always a pleasure." "You are such a pervert." Christina rubbed her wrist and twisted her waist. Seeing Adam responding to everyone's praise without any sign of fatigue, she couldn't help but complain. She was the one who knew Adam's abnormal physical strength best among all the people present. When she thought of Adam holding the giant tumor with both hands for 8 or 9 hours, and then holding it with one hand for 4 or 5 hours, still looking relaxed, she couldn't help but feel numb. Haha. Adam smiled but said nothing. At work, you have to take the lead, but in interpersonal communication outside of work, you need to be modest and reserved. Otherwise, you will become Sheldon. That would be too hateful. Sheldon survived miraculously because of his invincible luck. Adam didn't want to rely on luck. Let's go to the bar for a drink later, Christina invited. Everyone go. Are you talking about Joe's bar across from the medical center? Adam asked. Yes, Christina nodded and said. That's the bar for our medical staff. Many colleagues like to go there after get off work. The boss Joe is a nice person. You haven't been there yet, right? Come with everyone tonight. Joe has been looking forward to seeing you. A famous person. Go there. Okay. Adam didn't refuse. This kind of place is a good place to make connections. And if you don't go there once, you will seem out of place. Dressing room. Everyone took off their white coats and blue shirts and started to change back into their daily clothes. They were all doctors, and there was no special distinction between men and women. Everyone was together. Alex, who usually looked around and acted like a gangster who was afraid of no one, was no longer arrogant at this time. He sat dejectedly in an empty corner, changed his clothes and left without saying a word. Obviously, he probably received a notice that he would have to do rectal examinations for the next 2 weeks. High-definition image memory? Are you serious? While changing clothes and chatting, Meredith and Liz were surprised to hear Christina imitating Adam's sincere speech. Does she really have this ability? Yeah, Adam nodded. It's not rare. My friend has it. What does your friend do? Meredith asked curiously. Adam briefly described Sheldon's achievements. Perverted friends are indeed perverted, Liz complained. Christina, I remember you also have 2 doctoral degrees. Meredith looked at Christina. Can't you do it too? Christina didn't want to talk anymore, stuffed her white coat and blue shirt into the storage cabinet, and slammed the door. Let's go. Let's drink. Damn it. Comparing people is really annoying. Opposite the medical center, Joe's bar. Our celebrity is finally here. As soon as he entered the door, a tall fat man came up to greet him with a smile on his face. I heard that a life was extended tonight because of you. This is why I like to hang out with you doctors. I can feel the meaning of life with you. I'll treat you to the first round. Thank you. Adam thanked him. He had a good impression of this boss. It was not because the other party invited him to drink, but because the other party's aura was the kind that made people feel very comfortable. That's right. The medical center is in a busy area, and there are more than one bar nearby. Without good enough service, this bar would not be so famous among doctors. Adam and others sat in a row at the bar. Joe is both the boss and the bartender. After Adam and others ordered the drinks, he handed them over immediately. Everyone chatted casually, but because of professional habits, the topic always revolved around cases. Liz, are you not angry anymore? Christina took a big sip of beer and looked at Liz. It must be great to perform open chest surgery on a heart patient directly in the ward. Why not? Liz rolled her eyes. You can't imagine how I felt at that time. At that time, there was a large blood clot in Mr. Harper's chest cavity and he was in danger. Except for me, the nurses couldn't contact any doctor at all. I have never seen this kind of operation, let alone performed it. But the nurse said that if I did it, the patient might die. But if I didn't do it, the patient would die faster. The nurses put on the surgical gown with my mind blank. Under their guidance, I cut the sutures on Mr. Harper's chest and opened his chest. So you have to have a good relationship with the nurses. Adam smiled. The saying that doctors diagnose and nurses treat is not a joke. Experienced nurses can be a great help to interns. I know, Liz sighed. If it weren't for them, Mr. Harper would have died long ago, and he might even die in my hands. Nurses are not doctors after all, Christina interrupted. It was you, the doctor, who saved the day. Our 4 years of medical school were not in vain. She is the most typical person who worships the strong, and she agrees with the position of doctors and nurses in the medical system's contempt chain. In fact, it's not just nurses. When Liz invited pediatricians and psychiatrists to the party at Meredith's house, her full contempt was naked. If she hadn't had a typical South Asian look, Adam would have doubted whether she was an islander. Adam's previous performance put her under competitive pressure, but she was still very confident. But today, They did the whole operation together. Adam's abnormal performance in terms of physical strength and professional level deeply shocked her. They seemed to be on a completely different level. Adam is a strong man. There is no doubt about it. It is her instinct to worship the strong and get close to the strong. This is why she suddenly invited Adam to the bar party. Mr. Harper had no pulse and his heart rate was fluctuating. The blood clot had to be removed immediately. Liz did not comment on the relationship between the nurse and the doctor, but continued, "I was really unskilled and could not remove the blood clot immediately. Seeing that Mr. Harper was about to die, I gritted my teeth, put down the instrument, reached into Mr. Harper's chest, and took out the blood clot with my hands. My God, you didn't see how big the blood clot was." That feeling. Adam could no longer listen to Liz's thrilling journey, because the system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding. Wisdom points +3. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345. Our doctor has seen everything. Joe's bar. As the system prompt sounded, Adam's mind exploded. Bang, big bang. His brain seemed to have experienced a big explosion. Countless nebulae formed and stars flashed. The image memory that was only a semi-finished product before was completely transformed into a high-definition version. The complex mathematical formulas I saw last night have a deeper understanding and constant inspiration. The world seems to slow down and become clearer at this moment. My IQ has exceeded 180, and I have officially entered the level of a super genius, becoming the same kind of person as Peggy and Sheldon. Adam was infinitely happy, although he still couldn't really talk to Peggy and Sheldon and have a soul collision without a long period of study and thinking. But it was impossible before, but now it has become possible. And with Adam's unlimited energy, this possibility will be realized in the shortest time. When he thought of Peggy looking at him with her mouth wide open in surprise, Adam was full of motivation. The final step from genius to super genius was kicked by Christina. Although Christina was proud and aggressive, and had a face of an old lady of Southern descent, she provided Adam with these 3 key wisdom points. When Adam looked at her again, his favorability greatly increased. If they were just friends, it didn't matter whether she had an old lady's face or not. Adam was not a racist or a member of the Appearance Association. Well, as for ordinary friends, he was definitely not one. After drinking for a while in the bar, everyone went back to the hospital. The hospital has a duty lounge. In a small single room, there are 2 or 3 bunk beds side by side, which can sleep 4 or 6 people. Like the dressing room, there is no distinction between men and women. You can come in and lie down to sleep when you are tired. If you need it, lock the door from the inside, and you will know that no one outside can come in, and generally you will not be disturbed. It is said that the hospital has a mandatory 566 rule. It is now 2 or 3 in the morning. In order not to waste today's surgery opportunity, today should be treated as a rest day and come to grab the case at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. But except Adam, Christina and the others did not intend to strictly abide by this rule. Although Adam is full of energy and should live in the hospital, he has an obsessive-compulsive disorder of following procedures and strictly abiding by all regulations. In this regard, he is not as open as Christina and the others. If something goes wrong, they can just admit their mistakes and accept the punishment. But Adam cannot accept any risks in the process of growing up. This intern is obviously very strong, but too stable, and that's him. Green Clinic. Last night's giant tumor removal was done beautifully. Leonard was in a good mood. I knew that you were as passionate and talented as I was at the beginning. As long as no one takes your opportunity, people like us will definitely shine. Haha. Adam smiled in agreement. This is the 3rd time Leonard has said this. I will keep all the good surgeries here for you. Leonard was in high spirits. For the rest of the time, I have told Xuni that as soon as there is a chance, I will send you to them and take as many surgeries as possible. Let them know why I dare to give an intern so many opportunities and such great autonomy. Thank you. I will definitely do it. Adam smiled. After talking to Leonard, Xuni sent him to the emergency room. This treatment made bald Chris and fat Stu jealous, because staying in the emergency room to directly contact patients is much better than their endless rounds of ward rounds and writing medical records. With luck, the patients in the emergency room need surgery, and Adam, as the first to contact them, naturally becomes the ward doctor, and then follows into the operating room. The most annoying thing is that even if they are responsible for managing the beds in Green's clinic, but once there is a major operation to be done, Dr. Green will immediately call Adam back, not only personally guide Adam to do it, but also give him the greatest opportunity to practice. He will only guide Adam throughout the whole process, and the operation process must be completed by Adam himself. This is completely the treatment of senior residents. And even more, ordinary residents can only perform minor operations independently. When encountering slightly larger operations, the attending doctor must personally perform them. Even senior residents do not get as many opportunities to do things as Adam during major operations. That is because Juno has a very good personality and a good relationship with Adam. Otherwise, if it was Dr. Nitrabelli or any other resident with greater ambitions, they would have protested and resisted. "Is your arm not sore?" As soon as they met, Susan stretched out her hand to pinch Adam's arm and joked, "You were busy until the early morning last night and came here without a few hours of rest. You really have unlimited energy." No. Adam didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Obviously, his feat of holding a giant tumor in his hand last night completely confirmed his reputation as a tough guy. "Adam, there is a patient in Ward 5. Let's go over and take a look." Susan made a joke and changed the subject. "Okay." Adam had no objection. Ward 5. Adam followed Susan in and saw a white young man sitting there with an awkward look on his face. "I'm Dr. Lewis, and this is Dr. Duncan." Susan introduced them briefly and asked, "Mr. Gale, what's wrong with you?" The white young man hesitated to speak. "Mr. Gale, we are doctors. There is nothing wrong with telling us," Susan reminded him clearly. "Can Dr. Duncan diagnose me alone?" The white young man did not dare to look Susan in the eye. "Of course." Susan and Adam looked at each other and nodded. "Dr. Duncan, I'll leave this to you." "Okay." Adam smiled. "I didn't expect your charm is no longer limited to women," Susan joked to Adam in a low voice before leaving. Adam couldn't help but twitch his lips. After Susan closed the door and left, Adam looked at the white young man. "Mr. Gale, can you tell me about your condition now? I want to get a contraceptive injection," the white young man said with courage. Adam almost sprained his waist. His eyes were full of "that's it," but he still suppressed his complaints and said seriously, "Can I ask why?" "This is not only expensive, but also uncomfortable, both physically and psychologically. Generally, few young people go to the hospital specifically to get this. I just do this and that is the normal operation of men. It can calm me down," the white young man said anxiously. "I checked it online. If you inject enough doses, it will also chemically castrate you," Adam reminded. "Have you checked this online?" "I know," the white young man nodded tragically. "So, you want to be chemically castrated?" Adam said speechlessly. "Can I ask why?" "No," the white young man shouted. "Can't you just inject me directly?" "Of course not." Adam shook his head and said, "I'm just an intern. I don't have that power. I'll call Dr. Lewis for you." "Don't." The white young man stopped him. "Mr. Gale, we are doctors. We have seen everything and nothing can surprise us." Adam comforted him. "And there are medical confidentiality regulations, so no matter what embarrassing illness you have, you can tell us with confidence. Only in this way can we help you." "Okay." The white young man stood up and walked around the ward. After a while, he made up his mind and looked at Adam, and said seriously, "I fell in love with cows." Adam. P.S. Thanks to K90 for the reward. Chapter 346. Gale is dumbfounded. Medical center. Emergency room. After Adam heard what the white youth said, his most intuitive feeling was, "I am still too young after all." "I pass by a farm on the way to school, and they look so beautiful." Seeing Adam standing there in a daze, the white youth seemed to relax, looked at Adam, and began to describe his feelings in detail. "They are so magnificent. I can dream of them in my dreams. but people make them into leather shoes and hamburgers. How can they treat beautiful cows like this? No. Adam was only shocked at first. Then from the other party's eyes and description, he immediately realized that there must be something wrong. If the white youth really fell in love with a cow as he said, then he would not call them. After all, pets raised at home will be given a name, the same as people. Not to mention that the white youth wanted to take a step closer in such a weird way. For example, Rajesh's little Gizzy. It is really said that no matter the name or the style, it is completely indistinguishable from a girlfriend. This is true love. So, you want to get the contraceptive injection. Do you want to prevent it or do you not love it anymore? Adam regained his composure and looked at the strange young man with scrutiny. Prevention. The white young man smiled awkwardly. I just have that impulse. It's physical, but I know it's wrong to do so, so I haven't. Very good. Adam nodded and said, it's indeed wrong to do that. Then can you give me the injection? The white young man looked at Adam expectantly. Are you really willing to chemically castrate yourself to suppress the momentary impulse? Adam stared at his micro-expression. I don't want to, but I really can't. The white young man said painfully, it's not right to do that. It's indeed wrong to brag. Adam complained in his heart, but he also felt that the white young man didn't seem to be pretending, as if he really had a hard time holding it in. This made Adam a little confused, because this meant that Adam's guess just now was wrong. That's right. When Adam found that there was something wrong with the white young man's words, he immediately had a guess. The first guess was to associate it with the various extremely excessive and weird tasks in the initiation mission challenges of the university fraternity. When he was studying at Columbia University, Adam was also invited by a fraternity, but he refused. Because he had seen the American Party in his previous life, he subconsciously resisted any fraternity. In addition, the tree that stands out in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Many people disliked him and hated him, and university fraternities are often not simple student organizations. The better the university, the greater the power of the fraternity. Because former fraternity members who do well outside will provide financial support. Therefore, powerful fraternities have their own single-family villas in the university as venues for activities. All kinds of parties, beauties, and carnivals are available. This is also the reason why many freshmen still sign up enthusiastically even though they know that the challenges to join the association are so twisted. It is not the first time that the fraternity members who hate Adam have included Adam in the challenge target for new members. It is not even just the fraternity. The same is true for the Columbia University sorority. At the beginning, there was still some integrity, but later one class simply listed sleeping with Adam as a goal. But they have no integrity, while Adam has full integrity. No matter how they tempted, or how they changed their routines like the white bone demon, Adam saw through it at a glance. As a result, almost no freshmen in that sorority were able to complete the task and join the sorority. Later, the task of sleeping with Adam had to be changed to a test for the president. After the sorority president graduated, she encountered the same problem when she ran for the new president, and finally had to completely delete the task of sleeping with Adam. This white young man was just the age to go to college, and he had such a weird impulse to brag, which made Adam suspicious. However, Adam had graduated from Columbia University for 4 years, and there were no people from Columbia fraternities and sororities during this period, so he was used as a target for the task of freshmen to join the sorority. Now the white young man seemed to be really having a hard time, and Adam's suspicion was reduced a little. But just in case, Adam decided to continue to test it. It doesn't have to be that extreme. Adam thought about it and had an idea. He said calmly, your case is not an isolated case. When the white young man heard this, he even forgot the pain, opened his mouth wide, and looked at Adam stupidly. No way, there really is something similar. No way, your doctor has really encountered this. No way, don't disbelieve it. Adam said seriously, because of the principle of confidentiality, I won't name it, but the president of a certain university fraternity was too straightforward when he challenged to join the fraternity. Others would bring a sheep into the house and pretend to be successful, but he was too honest. In order to join, he gritted his teeth and stomped his feet. which made the fraternity seniors who were waiting outside to watch the excitement dumbfounded. But he couldn't stand the sound of sheep from then on. The white young man opened his mouth even wider and asked stutteringly, "What happened later? Did he come to see the doctor too?" "Yeah." Adam kept staring at the white young man while telling the story. He found that when he talked about fraternity and freshman initiation challenge, the white young man didn't react at all. He was really shocked. It shouldn't be that the new fraternity initiator was ordered to come and prank him. He loved her before and wanted to give up, but he didn't use extreme physical or chemical methods to castrate himself and put an end to it. Instead, he chose to receive psychological treatment. Adam smiled and said, "So we doctors have basically seen everything." "I'm not kidding. You can tell me if you have any hidden secrets. Only when you tell us the most real symptoms can we doctors prescribe the right medicine." The white young man was convinced, but still a little entangled and hesitant. "Let's solve one problem at a time." Adam smiled professionally. "Are you really in love with a cow, or is it just a metaphor, and the cow is actually a woman?" In the East, he can be sure that this is a metaphor. But in the United States, or the comprehensive world of American TV series and movies, Adam is not sure. Because Adam's story, in the world of American TV series and movies, is not made up by him at all. The white young man's eyes shrank and he lowered his head unnaturally. "It's just a cow. It's so beautiful. I am immersed in love. Now I just want to prevent it." "Then who is she?" Adam breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that it is really a metaphor. Not that he encountered a weirdo. "She is not just any woman. My brother's girlfriend?" The white young man looked at Adam in shock. Adam kept staring at him and could only shake his head. "She is not the one. The next option is not much better than falling in love with a cow." The white young man looked painful. Chapter 347, Do One Good Deed Every Day. "Mr. Gale, do you have anything to say?" Adam looked at the suffering white youth. "If not, stop here today. I will help you contact the most caring psychologist." Although he was a little curious, he would not interfere if the other party did not want to talk. In fact, Adam had already guessed the source of the white youth's pain. In his previous life, he had a certain understanding of Japanese action movies, anime, and, so he would no longer be shocked by the relevant plots, because any possible classic plots have been filmed by the Japanese. In this regard, Adam is indeed qualified to say to the white youth, "Our doctor has seen everything." Seeing Adam stand up, the white youth panicked. It was already embarrassing to come to see the doctor. Change another doctor, one more person knows? Wouldn't that be even more embarrassing? And although this Dr. Duncan is young, he looks very professional. So the white youth gritted his teeth and took out his wallet from his backpack, and then handed a photo to Adam. Sure enough, Adam took a look and couldn't help laughing in his heart. It was a beautiful woman wearing a bikini, leaning against the kitchen, with a smile like a flower. "Well, this plot is too familiar. Your stepmother." Adam switched from a professional smile to a professional seriousness. "You know?" the white young man said in disbelief. "How do you seem to know everything?" "First of all, this woman must be close to you to make up such a ridiculous story," Adam said very professionally. "Then your brother's a woman is not. It must be more serious than that, and it probably involves deeper ethical issues." "The woman in the photo is very young, in her 20s or less, at most a few years older than you, and definitely not your mother. And you and her, there is no genetic similarity. Sister can also be ruled out. In addition to the young stepmother, are there any other possibilities?" "Yes." Seeing that Adam did not look at him with strange eyes, and now that he was talking about this, the white young man simply confessed, "It's my stepmother. She likes to wear a bikini or less, walking around the house. I really can't control myself and not think about her." TSK. Adam was amazed. Bikinis are already enough to save fabric. What else can be less than bikinis? "Is your father not at home?" Adam asked. "He went on a business trip to Europe." The white young man began to get excited. "Now it's just the two of us at home. She does this every day, and she also gives me a massage. After each massage, I lie there for an hour and dare not get up at all." "She is tempting you." Adam carefully observed the white young man's micro-expressions. With his microscopic insight after being promoted to a super genius, plus psychological analysis, It is almost impossible for the white young man to deceive him. Yes, Adam did not completely believe what the white young man said. The same thing, when expressed by different people, may give completely opposite answers. It's like when a big man commits a crime. He thinks that the person who was violated is playing a game with him. But this obviously cannot fool Adam. The white young man will not do chemical castration for this. Then there is another possibility. The white young man has a mental illness. Although the temptations of various stepmothers may not exist at all, he really thinks so. His moral sense far beyond that of ordinary people makes him choose extreme preventive behavior. If that's the case, even he has deceived himself. And what he said is sincere. Adam can't tell the truth from the false. At present, it seems that either what the white youth said is true, or the white youth has a mental illness. Because what he said is true. Isn't it obvious? The white youth said excitedly, "But she is my mother. I can't do that, so I came to you to get a contraceptive injection, so that I can be calm enough to hold on until my father comes home or until I go to college. Can you help me?" For the time being, there is no sign of any mental illness in the white youth, so Adam will temporarily treat what he said as the truth. Most men in this kind of plot make the choices of the islanders, but this white youth, in order not to do something unethical to let his father down, would rather take the risk of permanent chemical castration to prevent himself. From this point of view, the white youth is really a good son of his father. Adam nodded secretly. Such a person is worth helping. Thinking of this, Adam took the paper and pen, wrote a few words, and handed it to the white youth. "What is this?" The white youth was puzzled. "I have a friend who does charity. They have an office in New York and are also recruiting people. You can go there to work part-time. They will provide you with a dormitory." Adam smiled and said, "Compared to chemical castration, isn't it easier to move out?" The white young man was stunned, then overjoyed, and thanked him repeatedly. "Thank you. Thank you." Adam was not surprised that he didn't think of this simpler option. The white young man looked honest and homely, otherwise he wouldn't have come up with such an extreme idea. He was also a poor student who was about to go to college, so it was normal for him to have no money to move out. Poverty limited his imagination. Endless temptations made him think a lot, but he only thought about solving the problem from the root. He couldn't solve the stepmother, so he could only solve himself. "You're welcome." Adam stood up. "You are a good son. Stick to this point. I believe you can also make achievements in charity." People with such a strong sense of morality are always better than ordinary people when doing charity. It would be a good thing for Carolyn's Ellis Charity Fund to have more people like this. Maybe many years later, another Carolyn will come out. This can also be regarded as Adam doing a good deed every day. Nurse's station. "What's wrong?" Susan smiled. "I was confused for a moment." Adam smiled and roughly explained the matter. Susan smiled, not making a fuss. She has been working in the emergency department for 4 or 5 years, and has seen and heard a lot of strange things. "This is really nothing. You handled it very well," Susan praised. "But only you can do this. How can ordinary doctors easily help him find a part-time job that allows him to move into the dormitory immediately? This is also a coincidence. It just so happens that a friend's charity organization is recruiting people." Adam smiled reservedly. With his billionaire status, if he wants to be a doctor in peace and stability, he should keep a low profile. This time, if it weren't for the white young man's strong sense of morality and Adam's pleasing appearance, he would not have offered to help. Susan took a deep look at Adam, understood what Adam meant, and skipped the topic. The two chatted for a few more words, and Susan was called away. At this time, Alex pushed an African-American man in a wheelchair, and the two walked over talking and laughing. Adam narrowed his eyes and greeted him. Chapter 348. If you can't die, get stronger. "Okay, Dr. Clive, I'll take care of this." Adam walked over and said with a smile, "What did you say?" Alex was startled. Then he got angry. "This is my patient." "No." Adam shook his head. "Your patient is still waiting for you to check his rectum. This patient has a gunshot wound. The wound is on the shoulder, not on the rectum, so he is not your patient." "Hey, I like Dr. Clive. I want him to be my doctor." The African-American man obviously had a similar temperament to Alex. Seeing Adam bullying Alex, He immediately stood up for his friend. "Sorry." Adam shook his head and said, "This is the emergency room. I'll contact Dr. Lewis right away." "I'm not in the emergency room." The African-American man was very loyal. He covered his wound and stood up. "I have an appointment with Dr. Burke. I want Alex to be my attending physician." Obviously, he was a frequent visitor to the hospital. He not only made an appointment with a specific attending physician, but also knew the concept of an attending physician. "I'll help you contact Dr. Burke." Adam smiled and said, "But believe me, even if Dr. Burke comes, Dr. Clive can't be your attending physician." "Why?" The African-American man was stunned and looked at Alex, whose face was almost the same as his. Alex was speechless. What could he say? Because of his negligence, the patient that Dr. Burke asked him to manage almost died. So Dr. Burke punished him by not allowing him to enter the operating room for 2 weeks, and Dr. Bailey also punished him to do a rectal examination for 2 weeks. How could he tell his good buddy such a shameful thing? "No matter what, I have the right to decide my own attending physician." The African-American man got excited and said stubbornly, "Alex, don't worry, Dr. Burke and I are old acquaintances, and I will definitely let him appoint you as my attending physician." At this point, he stretched out his hand and shook it. Alex also stretched out his hand, placed it next to the African-American man's hand, and did the same shaking action. It was very similar to the fist-bumping ceremony that Africans like to do. Alex looked much better, and gave Adam a mocking look, full of a smug expression of "Don't think you can steal my patients just because you are so powerful." Adam asked the nurse to call Dr. Burke. "I would rather see you again in another way, Mr. Owens." Dr. Burke stretched out his hand and shook hands with the African-American man. "Just call me Digby." The African-American man smiled. "What happened?" Dr. Burke looked at Adam. Adam told him what happened. "Digby, Dr. Duncan is the best intern here." Dr. Burke glanced at Alex coldly, and said to the African man in a gentle voice, "He will be your attending physician and will be responsible for your condition." "No." The African man shook his head and said, "I only want Dr. Clive." "Digby, Dr. Clive has violated the hospital regulations and cannot be the attending physician in a short time," Dr. Burke advised. "I am your doctor and an old friend. Don't you believe in my decision?" "Come on," the African man shouted exaggeratedly. "Young people, who doesn't make mistakes? It's nothing, and I know my injuries. It's just a simple suture. Maybe I don't even need to be hospitalized." "What's the big deal about letting Alex do it? I believe you and I believe him." Dr. Burke shook his head helplessly. In the end, he could only respect the patient's choice and nodded. "Okay, Dr. Clive, suture first, and then take a cord scan. You are responsible." "Congratulations." When he said this, Dr. Burke looked at Alex with disgust. Alex was a seasoned man. He didn't even look at Dr. Burke. He pushed the African-American man towards the ward. When he passed by Adam, he looked at Adam provocatively. Clap, clap. After they passed by, the sound of Alex and the African-American man high-fiving each other reached Adam's ears. "Dr. Duncan, you did the right thing." Dr. Burke gave Adam full affirmation. Adam smiled. "By the way," Dr. Burke looked at the direction where Alex left with disgust, "please inform Dr. Bailey that Dr. Clive's rectal examination will be extended for another week." "I see." Adam nodded. Alex thought he could bypass the ban and treated everyone else as a fool. But who is a fool to be a doctor? Not to mention a famous doctor like Dr. Burke. Those who dare to disobey the orders of their superiors are real fools. At noon, hospital restaurant. "I heard that you failed to snatch Alex's patient." Christina came over with a tray and started gossiping immediately. "No way. I met a patient who is not afraid of death." Adam shrugged. TSK. "Alex is really good at this," Christina said in amazement. "Yesterday he almost tricked the female patient with a giant tumor, and today he tricked a fearless tattooed masochist in front of you. It might be too much to say that he is not afraid of death, but to be more precise, he is not comfortable unless he is seeking death." The gunshot wound on his shoulder was inflicted by a friend, in order to add a gunshot scar, which is an upgraded version of the tattoo. And this is not the first time. The last time, the bullet grazed his armpit. "This patient is on the Iowa wrestling team," George interrupted. Alex seems to wrestle too. During the morning checkup, I heard the two of them talking about the spirit of wrestling. Something like things that don't beat you make you stronger. You can't beat me unless you kill me. Pain is a dividing line, and everything depends on how we deal with the pain. Alex even helped him borrow a camera and took a close-up of the gunshot wound. The two of them are as close as brothers. Pretending, Liz sneered, just like he lied to that poor female patient with a giant tumor. He really wants this patient to hear his true feelings. I hope Alex doesn't have too much fun again. Adam smiled. What do you know? Christina's heart moved. The first time he was shot, he didn't even take out the bullet for commemoration. This time the gunshot caused broken ribs and hemorrhages. Adam said, although Dr. Burke inserted a tube to drain the blood in his lungs and repaired his lungs, the gunshot may cause his body to react. Think about it. If he has any small wounds on his body at this time, what will happen? Infection. Christina and the others shouted in unison. Do you think it is likely that a tattooed masochist who believes in pain will have small wounds on his body? Adam said casually, if I were his attending physician, I would definitely ask in detail, but these are common sense, and Alex must know. Liz stood up suddenly, left a word and ran away. I don't believe Alex. Adam ate by himself. As the African-American man said, this is his freedom and his belief. Anything that doesn't kill him can make him stronger. All Adam can do is respect and bless him, and he doesn't need this 0.01 point of life. Chapter 349, titled Death Medical Center. What good surgery is waiting for you to do? Alex couldn't help but sneer when he saw Liz running over. Although it was Liz who cleaned up his mess yesterday, he didn't appreciate it, because no matter what the process was, the result was that he was not only slapped in the face in public, but also severely punished. For interns, they were racing against time to get into the operating room to perform surgery and improve their skills. Fortunately, after a year, they passed the exam and officially started residency training. He was punished not to enter the operating room for 2 weeks and could only check the rectum. Now it has been extended to 3 weeks. The progress was dragged down too much. What about Liz? Not only did she perform a thoracotomy, but she was also praised by Dr. Burke. More importantly, Liz and the others are close to Adam. The friend of my enemy is also my enemy. Does your gunshot patient have other wounds? Have you asked him? Liz asked anxiously. Hey, that's my patient. Alex said angrily. I'm a doctor just like you. I know what I'm doing. So you checked it out? Liz also got angry and said angrily, are you sure? Just like you were so sure yesterday that I didn't call you? If not, then go check it out quickly. Once the patient's wound is infected, the stress response caused by the gunshot wound will aggravate the infection, and you may kill your patient. Again, Alex paused. What the hell is he asking? He only remembered to talk nonsense with the other party to deepen the relationship, so he didn't think of asking these questions. Besides, African men believe in controlling pain. If there is no pain, they will create pain and then control it. Even if he asked, the other party might not tell him. If it weren't for the gunshot wound that he couldn't handle himself, the African man would not come to the hospital at all. Then his face changed and he looked at the test report in his hand. Liz snatched the test report, glanced at it, and his face changed. The white blood cell count has increased severely. The white blood cell count is 27, and 16% are banned neutrophils, which is significantly higher than the general stress response. Beep. The pager rang at this time. Alex took it out and looked at it. His face turned black. He didn't want to argue with Liz anymore and ran directly to the African man's ward. Liz didn't understand that Adam's guess was right. There was really a serious infection. Call Dr. Burke. Call Dr. Duncan. Liz told the nurse and ran over. In the ward. What's the situation? Alex pushed open the ward and asked with a frown. I'm freezing to death. Doctor, I can't stop shaking. The African man lay on his side, curled up and shivered. He didn't call him brother or Alex as intimate names, but directly called out the true identities of the two. He was a patient, and Alex was the doctor who should save him. Doctor, his temperature is rising and his blood pressure is falling. The nurse reminded. Mr. Owens, do you have other tattoos on your body? Recently, Liz asked directly after following him. Yes, there is a new tattoo on my calf. the African man said in a trembling voice. Liz opened it and looked. Her face changed drastically. She saw a big spider printed on the other's calf, but it was a dead and severely rotten big spider. OMG. The African man also forced himself to look over, and then shouted in fear, "There is nothing so disgusting this morning. It's seriously infected." Alex complained, "Why didn't you say it earlier?" It was nothing at the time. The African man didn't dare to look anymore, and lay back down, closed his eyes, and shivered. "What's going on?" At this time, Adam walked in. "What are you doing here?" Alex's face was livid. "I called him," Liz said quickly. Adam had foreseen this possibility a long time ago. If he was Mr. Owens's attending physician, this scene would never have happened. "I can handle my patient myself," Alex shouted. "Adam, what should we do?" Liz asked Adam, while walking in front of the African-American man and said, "Mr. Owens, your infection is very serious. Before Dr. Burke arrives, I strongly suggest that you let Dr. Duncan take care of your injuries." "He is nothing. He is just an intern like me," Alex sneered. "I agree to let Dr. Duncan be my attending physician." The African-American man did not support Alex at the beginning, and directly said something that stunned Alex. If he knew that his condition was so serious at the beginning, he would definitely listen to Dr. Burke and let Adam be his attending physician. "What's anything that doesn't kill me makes me stronger. What only killing me can make me admit defeat." That was bragging before he was on the verge of death. His current lung capacity makes it difficult for him to breathe, so what is he bragging about? There is a great fear between life and death. It is human instinct to fear death and live. Loyalty, goodwill, etc. or even more bullshit. Whoever is most likely to save him is God. Alex was obviously not calling Dr. Burke. Already called. Keep calling. Inject antibiotics. The patient already has symptoms of multiple organ failure, and secondary infection has caused sepsis. Send him to the intensive care unit immediately. Assisted breathing and adrenaline is ready. After the African-American man gave up Alex and chose him, Adam took the lead. Although he was unhappy with the African-American man's attitude at the beginning, curing diseases, saving lives and increasing lifespan was Adam's basic principle. For him, the African-American man was just a tool to increase first aid experience and life points. No matter how small a mosquito is, it is still meat. Business is business. Besides, with the African-American man's condition, even if he recovered, he would probably be useless. It would be good if he didn't lie in bed in the future, but he still wanted to continue playing wrestling and bragging. What a joke. In the United States, if you lose your job and your source of income, even if you survive, that feeling. In the hospitals in the world of American TV dramas and movies, the legend of the Angel of Death has always been circulating. It is said that some medical staff who are extremely sentimental or mentally ill will carry out humanitarian murders to relieve the suffering of seriously ill patients who are living a life worse than death. Of course, in many cases, it is these patients who do not want to live but cannot do it themselves or are powerless who ask for it. A syringe of morphine can solve everything, but this is a serious crime, and there are very few people who are willing to take such a big risk to help patients do this. And you can't tell who is sentimental and who is mentally ill. Once you encounter a mentally ill person, no matter whether the patient really wants to die or not, as long as he determines that you want to die, he will do it. That is just a terrifying death killer, not an angel of death. Even if he is sentimental and really wants to help the patient, once the number of times is too much and the pressure is too great, it is inevitable that he will have mental problems. Therefore, the law does not allow doctors to help patients with euthanasia, which is actually reasonable. Because you can't tell whether the doctor has selfish motives, the angel of death is something you can only encounter but not seek. If the African-American man survives, he must lie in bed, enduring physical pain while watching his life collapse bit by bit. At that time, I'm afraid the African man will pray to meet his own angel of death. Alex has a connection with the word death, but he can't even think of taking such a big risk for the African man and becoming an angel. The title of the God of Death may be more suitable for him. Chapter 350 A Song of Coolness, Medical Center. What's the situation? Dr. Burke trotted over and asked quickly. It's basically stable now. Adam told him the situation. You're doing a good job." Dr. Burke looked at Adam strangely. He had felt that he had overestimated this intern before, but Adam always broke this feeling again and again. Even if he came here the first time, he might not do better than Adam. Is this really an intern? He had heard a few times about Adam's reputation when he was a medical intern at the medical center a few years ago, but he always felt that Adam was praised because of Leonard's relationship. Looking at Alex, who is also a relative, you can know what the general level of relative people is like, but Adam, a relative, has greatly improved the average level of relative people, and trampled another relative Alex into the mud. The general level that they could tolerate before is not only unqualified, but also reveals the true background, which makes them, the senior doctors, unable to bear it. He repeatedly disobeyed the orders of his superiors, had no medical ethics, offended patients, and had low professional standards. If this kind of person did not have a relationship with the dean, he would have been fired long ago. But even so, he was not prepared to tolerate it again and again. The dean did have the power, but he was also a famous doctor in the field of cardiothoracic surgery and had his own dignity and face. Could the dean's relatives repeatedly disobey his orders? Even if the other party was right, it was not allowed. Not to mention that Alex had made mistakes again and again. This was intolerable. The authority of the superior doctor must be maintained. You will be responsible for Mr. Owen's follow-up observation, Dr. Burke ordered after an examination. Okay. Adam nodded in agreement. Alex stood aside, looking extremely ugly, before Dr. Burke relieved him of his responsibility for the ward. Even if the African-American man verbally asked Adam to be his ward doctor, Alex did not dare to really walk away. Hypocritical and blatant confrontation are two completely different concepts. If he dared to do this, he had no doubt that Dr. Burke would immediately inform the hospital to fire him. By then, even the dean would have a hard time saying anything. Rules are rules. What are you still doing here? Is the rectal examination over? Dr. Burke looked at Alex coldly. Alex turned and left. He knew that he had completely offended Dr. Burke. There was no point in saying more. He had to admit defeat when it was time to do so. Dr. Burke gave a few more instructions and left. He was a dignified attending physician and was very busy. Adam, you are amazing. Liz looked at Adam with admiration. You're still the best. It was time for a break in the competition. Adam smiled reservedly and said, just rush over and grab Alex's patient. His patient? Liz said disdainfully. If you ask me, he should just keep doing rectal examinations to avoid killing the patient. Adam, you're really amazing. Christina and Meredith passed by and said admiringly, you can even win the patient back with this. Adam, if there is any problem with my diagnosis in the future, remember to tell me secretly. Meredith smiled and said, obviously you consider more and more things than us. I remember Adam has a bachelor's degree in psychology. Christina said thoughtfully, it seems that I also need to get another bachelor's degree in psychology. Otherwise, even if we encounter this situation again, we can't do it to Adam's level, huh? Meredith and Liz both looked at her. All patients like to lie, Christina explained. For this tattoo masochist, even if you ask him about a small tattoo or infection, he may not tell you, because to him, it is a minor injury that is not worth mentioning. Wouldn't it be a joke to tell him about it? Adam pointed out this possibility without asking, how did he do it? He saw the patient's psychological and behavioral characteristics at a glance and deduced the patient's condition quickly and accurately. Such a person is naturally very powerful. Almost every patient will lie. Adam smiled and said, because human nature is like this, they will play to their strengths and avoid their weaknesses. Unless it is absolutely necessary, they will not really reveal everything to the doctor. In the process of the doctor and the patient asking and answering, the patient's answer has been processed, just like writing a diary. Of course, under normal circumstances, the patient's condition is like writing a diary, which can more or less explain some problems. We can diagnose based on this, and there is no big problem, but the fear is that the patient conceals the crucial cause and symptoms of the disease, which may cause us to misjudge. At this time, It is actually very useful to master a little more psychology and judge whether the patient is lying during the process of asking about the condition. That's something that only the great ones like you can master. Meredith shook her head and said, "We're almost exhausted from our internships, so how can we have time to study psychology in depth?" Yeah, Liz, who graduated from a general medical school, felt the same way. Exhausted? Christina glanced at Meredith. What kind of exhaustion? I remember that we seemed to be classmates at Harvard Medical School. Meredith was speechless. Her IQ is not low. If she is willing to work hard and find time to get a bachelor's degree in psychology, it is actually not too difficult. But when she was in school, she was a playboy. Now that she has graduated and is an intern, she is caught up in an emotional entanglement with Mr. Dreamy. She often bangs the bedboard and makes a loud noise all night, which makes George's face black and makes Liz complain that she should oil the springs of the spring bed. In addition, interns are already busy. How can they not be exhausted? As everyone was chatting, George also walked over from the other side. Alex may be in trouble. What do you mean? Liz's eyes lit up. I just came from the director's office and saw Dr. Burke arguing with the director. I vaguely heard Alex being persuaded to quit, George said. Finally here, Christina smiled and said, remember what the director told us during our initial induction training? Among our 20 surgical interns, 8 will be transferred to easier departments, 5 will collapse under pressure, and 2 will be persuaded to quit. Adam smiled. It seems that Alex will be the first one to be persuaded to quit in our batch. Christina smiled. Who knows? Adam shrugged. How can a person with connections be persuaded to quit so easily? Everyone chatted for a few more words and then dispersed. Do you have something to ask me? Adam smiled and looked at George. Yeah. George looked left and right, and seeing that no one was paying attention to them, he pulled Adam into a ward, closed the door, and pulled the blinds. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.